Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
They're down in 6. Williams, a lot of room, looking for the end zone. He is in. Touchdown. Ben Johnson cartoon. First down. Williams has started 9 for 9. How about 10 for 10? How about DJ Moore? You're going to wait longer for the cartoon. First down at the 31 after a 30-yard completion with 11 seconds to go. High snap, Reichert. He's got it. And it's a new career high for Will Reichert.
What I was pleased at, I went after them at halftime. I freaking lost it in the locker room. I was pissed that, that we let them drive the ball down right before the half and almost make a field goal. Like, where's the killer instinct, right? That's my, that's why I bring up the thing about Archie. Like, I don't want to be a joke. I don't want us to be I want us to be a football place, right? Football teams, you put away the people you're supposed to put away. You don't let them have life. So I wasn't happy before the half, right? And then, when we went to take a knee and they cut us, which I have no issue with what they did. That's something you do at the end of games. They just, their kids are trained to do that. I went after our O-line. Like, they don't fear you. Like teams are supposed to come in and they're supposed to say, like, I never want to. You're supposed to walk up to their AD, like, don't schedule them again. That's the mentality we're supposed to have. And that's why I went off in the locker room, the coaches and players.
Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. What's up, DB?
Well, there you go.
Well,
tone setter.
Hey, don't schedule them again.
Yeah, the old leaked tape.
Yeah, I'm not sure I buy it. Not sure I buy the leak.
Whatever. I mean, the
message received though.
Yeah, message sent. Oh, that's. Shoot, he's right. I mean, that's how you want it to go down, man. It's we've all played. We've all just been in some games. It's been done to me. We've done it to other people where it's like, let's just get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And the only time you say let's get out of here is when you feel like you're in harm's way physically.
Yeah, your will's been broken.
My spirit is broken.
Yeah.
And physically, I just can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately where you want teams. I 100% am vibing with the message. I'd like to do that in Little League. Ask anybody that's been around me. I'm just saying, like, there's joy, legit joy, and just saying if you can make somebody quit.
Yeah.
In the spirit of competition.
Right.
That's what it's all about. And that's why tap outs and submissions are so much more enjoyable sometimes than knockouts.
Oh, interesting.
Oh yeah. The art of making someone quit is this is a little weird, but I am highly competitive, and so there's a little euphoria in I'm good, no more.
Yeah. Well, that's the famous, like, Roberto Duran no mas thing, right?
Yeah.
That's why it's so famous.
Yeah, you'd rather get slept.
Yeah, you're like, no, I'm cool.
When it gets to be like that, you have to be in a bad spot physically.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm rocking with the message. No question.
Not a coincidence. We bring up a little boxing, combat sports this morning. We're going to talk to Dan Rafael at the end of the show today. I know this is early.
He used to be a regular, man. That was like my guy.
Yeah.
Me and Dan, we got into it a couple times on air, didn't we, Shane?
Oh, I remember those.
Oh yeah, like that's my guy.
With
we go back and forth.
With the Crawford Canelo fight coming up this weekend, we'll talk to Dan at the end of the show, start previewing that. We'll also talk to another guest later this week. Just make sure you're all primed and ready to go for the biggest fight in a long time.
The prowess of Lennox Lewis, we got into it over Bernard Hopkins
and how he handled Lennox?
I wouldn't say I'm pro Lennox as much as Lennox was a much better heavyweight than he is.
Sure. Give him credit for it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Lennox was outstanding.
You're a big B-Hop guy.
Huge.
That's like your dude.
Yeah. So
or one of them.
I remember we were talking about promotions and that was back during a run. We would have Bob Arum on all the time.
Oh yeah.
And Dan was getting a little bit bitter with the promotion, just the business of boxing.
Yeah, which is not uncommon.
Yeah, And he was in the thick of it.
Yeah.
And so Dan, I enjoy him. He's quite the historian.
Yeah, he does a great job. So we'll talk
It's a big one, man. He looks fantastic.
He looks
he's a big boy.
jacked.
Yeah. He's a big boy. I'll be curious to see how a guy who has elite level cardio carries muscular mass.
More weight, yeah.
Yeah, because it's a lot different. Of times the more muscle bound you are, the harder your cardiovascular system has to work.
Yeah.
So that's why you see a lot of jack guys gassed.
Yeah. There's I was happy to see how lean he looked.
Yeah, he looks incredible.
You know, with adding the weight. I'll be interested to see what he weighs in at too. But for the weight that he's clearly added to still be that lean, I was really impressed with.
I tell people all the time. I mean, he walks around high 170s.
Yeah.
So the carrying the weight isn't going to be an issue.
Yeah, it does appear to be good weight though.
He is certainly dialed. He is interested right now in legacy.
Yeah. Well, we heard Coach Rhule talk about it yesterday, right?
Legacy.
Yeah. He doesn't have to take this fight.
No.
They
have, in typical Coach Rhule fashion, he cut out the middleman. It went from, hey, I need you to help me to they're better friends than we are. And that's just how he operates.
Yeah.
I mean, the relationships are
secondary,
not necessary. He'll do it himself.
Yeah.
That's just how he likes to roll.
He connects with people. Yeah. You like that about Coach Rhule. Yeah. So we'll talk to Dan later in the show. We'll be sure to get you covered on Crawford, Canelo, this whole week as well.
Who's later, Raiola, or what are we doing, Muehlheisen?
We can do Monday if you want.
No, who's later this week?
Answer the goddamn question.
Kevin.
Thank you. Is that this week?
Yeah, Thursday, 9:43.
Did you not hear the question?
No.
Man, I'm a little traumatized still.
Coming up.
Why do you think that's so hard?
I understood the question. I don't know. I was listening though, so that helps.
Man, it's like people listen to respond.
I don't even think Shane even listens. He doesn't want to respond.
Good morning again.
I was going to talk to myself.
Coming up at 8, we've got Brett Ciancia, Pick 6 previews. 8:45, we're going to talk to Ryan Roberts. He covers Notre Dame for A to Z Sports. We've talked to him about NFL draft stuff quite a bit, but part of his job also is covering Notre Dame. So we'll talk to him. They've got Texas A&M this week.
Quietly, I must win.
Yeah, got to.
I think it's must win. What do they land? 6.5? Right around there.
Yeah,
don't worry, it's 6.5.
So usually when you ask me, you already know.
Yeah, I just didn't know if it had moved. I know that's not about what it opened.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of. Schaefer is coming up at 9 o'clock like he always does. I was watching that the Bears Vikings game last night, right? And I'm trying to figure out, because for most of the game I'm sitting there and I'm watching this play out and I go, feels like the Bears have this in hand for a good chunk of the game.
For the second night in a row.
Feels like they should be up by more
for the second night in a row.
And then all of a sudden Minnesota's up 2 touchdowns. I'm like, what just happened?
Yeah.
And then I go back and look at the stats and I go, oh no, I wasn't crazy. Chicago was in control for most of the game there.
Just very, very opportunistic.
Very opportunistic.
And a lot of that stuff Chicago did was self-inflicted. Keep the laundry off the field.
A lot of 12 penalties. That was the only real.
You got to keep the laundry off the field.
That was the only real stat that jumps out at you as pro Minnesota is the number of penalties and penalty yards, more importantly, that Chicago took. They were about almost minus 80 on penalty yards, which makes up for the being about minus 100 on total yards.
Shoot, I was still torn because I wanted both quarterbacks to play well, and I think they both showed flashes. Caleb Williams' development is clear.
Started off really well.
Like his development is clear. And
struggled a little in the second half, but
then McCarthy. He's going against a really good defense.
Yeah, he is.
So
and he made plays. He made some plays.
The
throw to Jefferson in the end zone was incredible.
Great. I was talking about Caleb Williams is going against a really good defense as that game went on.
Yeah.
McCarthy, it's his first start as an NFL guy, so he gets a ton of grace and a ton of leeway. And he got better as the game went on, and he was fantastic in crunch time. So I mean, say what you will about how you got there. He was good when it mattered, which ultimately that's what people in the NFL care about.
Well, and it might be. I mean, we talked about all since JJ McCarthy got drafted. We talked all about, well, is he going to be able to extrapolate the skills we saw at Michigan into an NFL quarterback? It's like, well, maybe Minnesota's going to ask him to do the same thing he did at Michigan.
Well, clearly he's a good leader.
Yeah, people.
And he embraces the moment. People seem to gravitate towards him. So that's one thing he saw for sure.
Well, and that's something that you'll take over. If you can get that and you've got a bare minimum set of skills, you'll probably take that over almost anything else, right?
Yeah.
As a quarterback.
I mean, I would.
Because that's one of the things you can't figure out on tape necessarily. Like maybe you can see little like, oh, these guys kind of rally around him, but you can't really, that's not something you can measure.
Yeah, and you just, again, I go back to a couple years ago when Coach Rhule was having to decide between Sims and Harburg when Sims was relatively healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And he talked about Harburg's command in the huddle and how the players kind of rally. He said, you just never know with quarterbacks until they get out there.
Yeah.
It's barbecue or mildew. Yeah. Right? Some guys mildew and they slowly rot. And other guys, man, they fire it up. And I think and there's so many quarterbacks like that. You think Romo, you think, man, barbecue or mildew. You think
and that's a guy who performed at a high level for a long time.
Kyler Murray. There's lots of guys where you're like Dak Prescott.
Sure.
The separator in guys like that in terms of next leveling is what do they do? Like, do you get the sense it doesn't matter how the first 3.5 quarters go for Baker Mayfield?
Yeah.
When it matters, that dude's going to perform.
Yeah.
They're just guys like that, right? That's a hurdle that Hurrdat is trying to cross, even though I think he's substantially better than the critics.
The narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting.
I mean, I know it's the one that makes you the most mad, but that's how people feel about Lamar.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably the highest version of that right now.
I mean, sure, maybe. I mean, I don't like. I look at last night, and that's happened to him more times than not. Now he's had his fair share of a couple of poop performances in the playoffs, but I mean, I look at last night, and it's like, man, they just can't get over the hump versus the Bills, and I'm like, yeah, that almost had absolutely nothing to do with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. Right.
But we'll look at the head-to-head, and we'll have all these pretty sweet stories we want to tell, but. I mean, the better question is why is Jair Alexander so bad? Or I mean, there's lots of things. Yeah. A ball touches 4 different guys before it's ruled a touchdown. I mean, stuff like that, right? A guy fumbles in the second half, and he hasn't done that for 8 years with a lead.
Yeah.
I mean, that isn't.
None of that has to do with anything with Lamar.
That's not Lamar Jackson. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you have to see through that too.
Yeah, I do think that's a big part of it. The other NFL thing that I wanted to get to today was, and I know we talked with Ty a little bit about this yesterday, but I don't know. Did you see? I know you're a big press conference guy, but this is a random one, so I'm gonna give you a chance here. Did you happen to see Mike McDaniel yesterday?
Yeah,
that was one of the most uncomfortable.
He's in trouble.
Press conferences I've ever seen.
He's in trouble.
It was like hard to watch.
Yeah. I mean, it was giving me like Kalen DeBoer post FSU vibes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where,
might not be able to turn this thing around.
Well,
or not even that.
No, like maybe that press conference. Around.
Yeah.
I'm not one of the, I'm not a big, there's always plenty of time to turn it around. I'm not going to resign anybody to that. I mean, maybe, he's got it, whether it's Bama or Miami. Now, it's less likely in Miami because they have a lot of bad habits.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said for a year and a half, they're just not, it's not a physical team.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think you're going to turn that around tomorrow.
Right.
But that thing was spiraling out in a hurry. And now when you have peers in the media, and granted, it's Ryan and it's what he does, especially since he got his new teeth a handful of years ago. Ryan has just gone all in on being obnoxious.
New teeth, hot takes.
That's just. I think they would think it was kind of simultaneous. I mean, he goes in, or he makes Orlovsky or comfortable. What do you call him? Nerd Boy?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, like that's just I mean, are they paying him for that bit or?
Also, it's kind of odd to me. Like, I get he wasn't good, but it's not like Orlovsky's one of these guys that didn't play.
No, and
Like, usually when you get the nerd boy, it's to the
well, Ryan
analytics
was talking
guy.
about McDaniel.
Oh, yes, you're right.
And he was in Orlovsky, he was talking to Orlovsky when he said it, and Dan's like, I can't believe I'm on set with a guy that just referred to a coach as Nerd Boy.
Yeah.
And it's just unnecessary, but especially peer to peer, because it's not like it was always rainbows and butterflies.
Yeah.
For Orexy. You know what I mean? But everybody, they're going to circle the drain, boy. It is blood literally in the water in the waters of South Beach. They are in big trouble.
What I don't understand too is, was it Nerd Boy 2 years ago when everybody was kind of enamored with what he was doing,
No.
and they're like, "Oh, we like the act. It's funny and he's authentic." And
I mean, it's just what we do, right? When it's rolling, it's cool. When it's because I like McDaniel. I
do too. I think it's probably. This is probably too far gone for both sides at this point.
Yeah.
But I do like him. He was a 49er guy. I thought he was good with the 49ers. I liked him.
Well, it's going to cost some folks their jobs too, especially in the front office. The roster isn't as, they had some purging that they did in the offseason, but it's not 33-8 bad.
Not to the Colts.
No. It is, as much as I like the Daniel Jones acquisition, it's still Daniel Jones.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's like a best case scenario if you're in a bad spot.
But Steichen and DJ, they're gonna be all right together. Yeah, they're gonna be all right together.
Well, they're gonna have a chance because the AFC South is terrible.
Oh no, is Jacksonville gonna run for another 200 yards? What was that?
Probably not.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say
if
not
I
either.
had to guess, probably not.
No, but I look at that game last night, man. The NFL is just funny. It is a no nonsense bottom line league.
Yeah.
And we saw it in back-to-back primetime games with what Buffalo did in crunch time, and what Minnesota was able to do.
Mm-hmm.
It can be whatever you want it to be until it comes time to winning.
Yeah.
And it is the one league that is very unforgiving about the aesthetics versus the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
There are very few buts
that
happen in the NFL. You're either winning or you're not. These stat sheet pad stuffers, nobody cares. Because it can be just the opposite, too. You could be like Jalen Hurts and have the free world think you can't function with half a pulse, and that guy continues to rack up W's.
Mm-hmm.
And now all of a sudden, even though statistically he was still an 18-5 guy a year ago, it's like, oh, man, this Hurts guy must be pretty good. Yeah, you know why? Because winning is hard. It's hard.
It is.
And we keep trying to decide how we want it to look.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny. I just don't know. It's we complain and we cry and we whine and we moan, oh, we didn't play like this and we didn't do this and what about this? And it's like, man, miserable people love to stay miserable, and you can be inquisitive and want to get better, but at the end of the day, you better be appreciative of wins. How many times were people going to couch yesterday by saying, and I'm going to say it one more time, I know it was Akron. Stop talking to those people. We know who the opponent was. There were still only 6 shutouts in all of college football.
Yep.
Do you know who quantifies it with an opponent? People that never play.
Yeah.
I swear to goodness, like that's who does that.
Yeah.
Because the level of appreciation for going out there and completing a task, if you haven't done it over and over again, and I'm not saying you can't have takes if you haven't been out there. Hear my heart. But those are the only people that make it opponent specific, because coaches, when they coach, some guys don't even say the opponent's name, and whatever logic we vibe with or not, coaches ultimately want the best versions of themselves. They almost never make it about the opponent.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just what you're trained to do. That's what you're trained to believe. Apple doesn't give 2 cares about what Samsung's doing if Apple isn't operating at a high level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like nobody worries about that. You heard the halftime speech. You think he's worried about that it's Akron?
Mm-hmm.
No, he wants Nebraska to be Nebraska.
Yeah.
Whatever version of that's going to be, do that.
Yeah.
You worry about the opponent later. Because if you can't step on the throats of the Zips or whomever or the Bearcats, you certainly, if you don't bark as a pup, you certainly aren't going to bite as a dog.
Yeah.
So,
well,
nobody like
Rhule even addressed that.
You don't get caught up in that.
Yeah. I mean, Rhule even addressed that in the press conference where he's talking about we kind of got caught up in brands last year, right? We get up for Colorado, and then
it's just a no, and it's a because you have to coach against it and you have to play against it too, right? Every week it's a new challenge, and if you truly want to be your own benchmark, then it is rat poison.
Because players, especially when they're maturing,
they need to understand it's not about them.
They'll focus on.
It's not about the opponent.
Yeah,
it's not.
It's
never about the opponent.
It's easy to make.
We talk about the opponent because that's what we're supposed to do.
And we're not.
That doesn't mean the players and the coaches have to own that, and they won't. And believe me, it gets annoying.
Yeah,
because the same verbiage that they'll use to the good, they'll also use to the bad if you don't perform to the standard. So if you know you can't win for losing, man, who gives it? I mean, who cares?
Yeah,
right. Just let's ride.
Like when you're sitting there and they're saying, hey, the standards, everybody's striving to that. But then you're playing Akron and you're like, hey, we're up 48-0, coach. He's like, yeah, we haven't hit the standard yet. Like, it can get annoying.
It tugs at players and coaches differently because that's everything you try to fight.
Yeah.
It is everything you try to fight against.
Well, it's like the epitome of focusing on things you can't control, right? You have no control over who you play this week.
Yeah. You think that Mac wants his guys to play different against Dallas Baptist than he does UConn?
No.
No, he wants his team to be the standard.
Right? Now it might look a little different, but that's not part of the process,
again,
right?
It's not even what it does. But the point is, when you're getting your team ready, it doesn't matter.
I understand.
Okay.
I'm trying to say, if you're looking at it from the outside, you can look at a game versus UConn or a game against Dallas Baptist and think.
You don't think we know that it could look different?
I think some people will use that as, well, why does it look like this against Cincinnati and this against Akron?
Okay.
You're talking about from the coach perspective. I'm talking about from the fan perspective.
Understood.
Like, it's a thing that I think that's why it has to be said.
Yeah.
I think there's a difficulty sometimes when you haven't played or haven't played at a high level. I mean, a lot of people played things, myself included.
I'm just talking about competing.
Right.
Even in life, even in the day-to-day, whether you're in the classroom, in the boardroom, at the facility, at the power plant. I'm just talking about whatever it is that gets you going to be the best version of yourself. It's applicable. It's just magnified in sports because we keep score.
Yeah. The cameras help too.
Yeah.
Not a lot.
We keep score.
Not as many cameras at other people's jobs.
Sure.
I mean, there's not.
Sure.
You can keep score all you want. You don't got cameras. We look at it different.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how it works sometimes. The cameras do help. Let's take a quick break here. There's some things I want to get into with college football and how we feel about some of the things that happened this weekend before we get into our conversation.
Taking a break already? A break? What is this, a normal show?
We're trying sometimes.
Shoot, 7:25 and Austin and Rico are like, woo.
I'm trying to help our guys out,
No, they're trying to help me out. They're like, man, we need to calm DB down. This dude is aggravated.
That's DB. I'm Ravi. We'll be back. More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
Imagine your first dream home and the feeling of walking inside for the first time. With Centrist Federal Credit Union's First Time Home Buyers program, you are at the doorstep of bringing your vision to life. Welcome home. From your neighborhood mortgage experts, Centrist Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Our question of the day, Huskers wins on this season, over or under 9.5?
Go Big Red, over!
Have you looked at Matt Rhule year 3? Come on. Baylor, Temple, over 10 wins? We're going 10-2, easily.
I think we're going 9-3.
Oh, we're going over 100% Nebraska all the way.
I agree. Over 9 for sure. Because Jalen Gramstad is the best. Grandpa, he's
100%.
got it.
We're going to be undefeated going to College Station, Penn State. Better be a whiteout. What's happening? Because the Huskers are coming, all right?
Last year, they got to a bowl game. This year, it's a whole nother level, and that's getting 10 wins.
Playoffs.
I don't know about football. I know about beer. I'm a Hawkeye fan in disguise, so I don't comment here.
I don't think they're going to hit 9 wins. I think we go 11-1 this year and go to the playoffs this year.
Okay, we don't play Indiana. So, I mean, hey, 12-1, hey, that's my prediction.
Over 9.5 wins.
Hammer the money line. Skurs are back, baby. Skurs by 90. Let's go Big Red, huh?
And remember, for the best sports book in Nebraska, be sure to visit Warhorse Casino in Lincoln and in Omaha.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Just because a team's in the FCS or just because a team's in a Group 4 does not mean they're not a good football team, right? Like when I was at Temple, I would always say, like, I'd rather play a team from Group of 4, Group of 5 at the time, whatever it is called now, that doesn't win than play Villanova. I hated playing Villanova because every kid at Villanova is a winner because they win all the time. So teams that win know how to win. Teams that don't win, bad teams do bad things. And so, I want us to be a good team this week, and it starts with how we act this week in practice. It started last night. I was very pleased with our day yesterday, our attention to detail, showing up, being locked in, taking responsibility for the things that were good, taking responsibility for the things that have to improve. And so that's our plan.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Reminding you, if you're on the road this morning, it's a little rainy out there. Make sure you got those eyes up and those phones down. Stay focused. Don't get distracted. You've got one job. That's to drive. This message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. DB, there were some interesting headlines yesterday as coaches went around college football having their press conferences and things like that. We found out that apparently in a couple weeks we're going to be seeing our old friend Biff Poggi as the head coach for the Michigan Wolverines, as Sharon Moore is going to be suspended. He's the interim. I went down a weird Biff rabbit hole yesterday.
You know how he made his money?
A hedge fund, right?
Yeah, he's self-made.
He's an interesting dude.
Self-made. Like, they found a way to like put a stop to him, but I mean, he was like AAU on steroids when it came to like putting teams together and traveling. He would go get like fellas, and just go ball.
Because he was at the prep level forever.
Yeah,
really long time.
Yeah, and he
in Maryland mostly
using his own money.
Yeah,
like dude is super self-made. He's an interesting cat. We were just talking about him in the locker room yesterday.
Yeah, he's because if you look at his career trajectory, it's very strange because he goes from high school forever. Then it's Michigan for a year, and then back to high school for 4 years, and then Michigan, then head coach, and now back to Michigan. He's got one of the strangest coaching resumes this side of Joe Moglia.
Because, well, and in a similar vein,
with the financial,
like you want that guy's money around the program.
Yeah.
Biff makes a ton of cheddar.
Yeah, it's such a, and apparently
he was putting together some all-star squads. In football.
One of the things that I didn't
invested in kids too. He's interesting. He's definitely interesting.
I didn't realize about this about him was he actually, the hedge fund that he made his money on is actually now run by his former players, which is super cool.
It's what he loves, young people. He was like going, to the city.
Yeah.
The city. And going to get like super talented dudes that didn't really have much.
Didn't have great opportunities.
And it was on his own dime.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. He was like the Pied Piper.
So he's in Maryland. Is that like DC and Baltimore that he's going into?
Yeah. He's
talent-rich area.
Done a ton of work in Detroit. Like he was Sonny Vaccaro before.
He's football Sonny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically. He's a self-made Maverick Carter.
Yeah.
And dude spent a lot of money on young people.
It's super funny because he sort of has this perception, if you're just a college football fan and don't pay a ton of attention to some of the stuff that happens at the high school level, that he sort of just feels like he came out of nowhere, right? I remember a feature on ESPN.com probably 2023 before Michigan kind of started going on that big run where it was basically just like, who is Biff and why is he so important to the Michigan program? And they align up his, coming to Michigan with them turning it around after the COVID season and stuff like that. So it's probably 2022 maybe. But he sort of just feels like this character that just popped on the radar, and he wears he takes Belichick a step further and wears like the nasty cut up t-shirts. It looks like the ones, Coach Petito used to jog around Millard North track in.
He gives you the vibe that he's
broke,
in need, right?
Yeah, he looks like
a vagabond. He is super papered up.
Yeah, it's I'm fascinated what that looks like for Michigan, and then in turn for Nebraska in a couple weeks, with him sort of at the helm, I guess.
They play at the same time. But don't think I won't have an eye on Central Michigan and Michigan. I'm still mad at Central Michigan for being in cahoots with Connor Stallions. But I think that line it's like 27.5 or something like that. It's a sleepy game in Ann Arbor, easy look ahead game, because lots of people like to use the word look ahead when it comes to sports. But again, at least I'm consistent, right? So shout out to your boy, mainly me, for being consistent. Because if you ever want to get me fired up, do you remember the whole look ahead?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Creighton?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
this is last winter, I think.
Might have, yeah. And I lose my mind over that. And it's twofold. Number one, because it's everything you guard against as a coach. And number two, it's also what got me benched in college. Now, Heisman Trophy caliber-esque talent ahead of me aside, it was what got me benched. Let's not forget about the whole talent part.
Yeah. Not like it was just some guy.
Yeah. I don't even know who I got replaced with. I don't know, some dude from West Covina. But anyway,
somebody ran for out like 1,800 yards or something.
It escapes me. But the lack of preparation will forever eat at me because you just lacks the ability to stay in the moment. So whenever I hear coaches talk about it, I know it's not coach speak. I'm never going to roll my eyes. Like, you don't get really good at what you do until you it's like being a good steward, man. If you're not good with a little, how are you going to be good with a lot?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's I sleep and eat that. And you try to guard against it. And people have different funny ways to be motivated by it, the whole rat poison and it's funny, like, we want behind the scenes of how quality coaches go about their business. And then we act like it's not practical or only unique to them because of the culture that they're in. No, everybody's capable of it. It's just, do you want to pay the price to think like that all the time? Right? Whether it's mowing your yard, whether it's how you grocery shop, like, people that are like that are just like that.
And there's places where it's not as helpful.
Believe me.
Right?
I know.
Right? Like, there's places where it's not as...
I've told you,
it can be detrimental.
It can be very detrimental. Yeah. It can be very detrimental. But when we're in that realm, in that scope, when we're playing in that neighborhood,
when it's in the right box
of talking about competition and who you play against and being the best version of yourself, that's one thing that's going to get me gassed up, because I'm back in that competitive arena, right?
Yeah.
It's not always good at the house or in the living room or when I'm trying to straighten up the bathroom. Like, it doesn't serve me well there.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's part of the emotional maturity that I got to be able to manage. But when we're talking about sports, if you ever want to light and torch that thing, or even competing in business or whatever, start talking about what other people are doing versus what you're capable of. And I'm inevitably going to lose my mind.
So let me ask this, because we talked about the opponent specific stuff last segment, and then something else kind of clicked with me as you're talking there. Is it more, or is it in ways the same thing? Is it more when you're doing that? Is it more about looking ahead to the next opponent, or is it about, hey, I've already made it? Or is that the same thing?
They're different. I think there's a third option too. It's you have to get to a point where when you go to work, you have to know if you didn't get better.
So it's like the internal competition?
Yeah. When you lose sight of that, it feels right to you. And then all of a sudden you don't realize it's caught up with you until you actually have to go perform. Like, you can fool yourself into thinking that you're actually working hard if you're not cognizant of if you're capable of doing better.
So when you lose the self-awareness.
Yeah. That's the whole thing. And if you lose self-awareness, what's the natural byproduct? You don't maximize.
Right.
And when you don't maximize, you get ran down. And so when you get ran down, you'll get in a game in which you'll come across as ill-prepared emotionally.
Yeah.
Because all week you made it about just getting through the endeavor versus, did I empty my tank? If you empty the tank every day and you're competing, which is what made Bama cool? Why did I tell you I do not want to go back to college? Because you had to be on.
Because you had to be on all the time.
You had to be on every day.
Yeah.
You had to be on all the time.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
Yeah, it's taxing. I mean,
extremely.
Yeah.
And sometimes
mentally and physically.
Sometimes you just want to get by.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just want to
I just need a day.
Yeah. And what happens is you either get hurt, got hurt, lost your job, or you'll sit in films and have people critique where you need to get better every single day. You have to be built a certain way, right? Major League Baseball players talk about this all the time, is managing the emotional downtime. Not just between at-bats or kicking the ball around in the infield or between pitches, but staying locked in. Like, the difference between great pitchers. AJ Burnett, I was always fascinated by.
Incredible stuff.
He would tell these funny stories about, because I would always say, man, when Burnett gets touched, man, it leaves the building.
Yeah.
And he would talk about having these moments in which he felt like he was so in a groove that he would just momentarily lose focus.
Mm.
And he said at that level, guys would turn you around.
Yeah.
We've seen it happen with like Walker Buehler is infamous for that, where he was so competitive and so dialed, and you'd see this like intensity, and he would learn to try to manage his emotions. And then coming back from injury, he would like take these deep breaths, and I don't know, I get into the psycho of all the stuff, because when you have to do something repetitively, and if you make a mistake, you can be hurt. Those are the people that interest me.
Yeah.
Right. I'm fascinated by surgeons. I'm fascinated by people that help surgeons because
super high stakes,
super high, and
you have to be locked.
A lapse in how long can you stay locked in? Like people, it just fascinates me.
I always wonder when people like you hear that like, oh, they were in an 18-hour surgery. I'm like, how?
Yeah.
Like how?
Or even I watch. So they're working on this deal in front of this grocery store that I like. So I literally sat. This is so dumb, but it's me. And I'm like, man, this looks like it's going to be a while.
Yeah.
So they have all these barricades set out, and I can see the tops of these people's heads, like down in the ground.
Oh, yeah.
So I park at the end of the grocery store, and I said, hey, I know I can't pass this barricade right here. I was like, but I may ask to borrow. This is totally what I did. I may ask to borrow your hard hat. I just want to see what you guys are doing. And I don't know. The dude looked at me like I'm not even gonna make assumptions on if he understood what I was saying or not. But the guy's just nodding. He's like giving me the okay sign, like sure. And I'm watching them do the same tedious task over and over and over again. And I'm like, man, that has to be so miserable. And then I thought for a second, well, it's all relative, right? It's not like I want to go to the same station and run the same 4 plays against 4 different fronts 31 times, right? It's not like I want to do like 9 cut-ups and show the players the same technique 18 minutes, right? I don't want to be in my individual. Oh, wait, yes, I do. That's exactly what I enjoy doing.
And it's the exact same thing that they're doing.
And it's the exact same thing that they're doing. So things like that fascinate me. So I wasted 8 minutes just watching these guys. Literally, I felt like I wanted to just get a spoon and help them empty, like
just get the dirt out.
But there's a certain level of admiration, though.
Yeah.
Right, just to be able to stay with the task at hand over an extended period of time. I kind of low-key like stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's weird and it's monotonous, but at the same time, I know if it's not something that I'm capable of doing, typically you
have a certain level of respect for it.
A certain level of admiration.
So it's kind of funny because as you're talking about that, that's one of the reasons I was not a very good coach. Like, I'm not a teacher, right? So I would get frustrated. I've told you this before, I think. I didn't put it in the same words, but I would go, and if I would give you like 1 or 2 times. If I had to tell you something more than a couple times, I had a pretty hard time dealing with your inability to do that thing, right? And especially high school, young college kids, like you got to tell people a lot more than 2 times in order for them to figure out what you wanted. My thing was like, hey, if you make a different mistake, I'll correct that all day.
Ask Burke Brown. Ask Burke how many times I tell him to use your hands.
Yeah.
Drop your pad level. Hey, got to be violent. They say it, I don't know, 220 times a 2-hour stint.
Yeah.
But at some point when you watch it like actually click, it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Right? We had this conversation in my house all off season, winter, spring, fall. You'd hear some of the conversations about how to move up the depth chart and run people down from behind. You have to repeat this. You have to repeat 8s, 9s, and 10s every day. If you don't feel like you're an 8, 9, or 10 and you only have 70%, what's your 70% look like? And the longer you do that, the more two things happen. Your competitive stamina grows, and other people can't do it.
Yeah, you just outlast people.
You just outlast them.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
there's this weird kind of satisfaction in competition that stems from you lasting longer. Mitch Ballack was looking for a gym during COVID. He's looking for a facility.
Yeah.
And got whatever, it worked out. And I just would ask him about the repetition. And he would say things like, not only did he want to master his craft, he wanted to be able to play harder, longer than anybody he was playing against. Because at some point, like, I'm just going to be open.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that kind of stuff.
So,
who's one of my favorite great players? I love Mitch Ballack. Like, absolutely love him. Because of stuff like that.
You know what's super funny about that story is elite shooters are one of the best examples of what you're talking about. They will do the exact same thing for hours on end, 10,000 times in a row.
That's why I like Kobe.
Yeah.
Because from a competitive standpoint,
yeah,
he just felt like he was going to make you, like he was going to outlast you.
The part that I think is the funniest, though, is like when you, like, shooters love to shoot, right? So that's why they take a million shots. But then they love shooting so much, then they start to do the things you're talking about with Mitch Ballack. He's like, well, I love shooting. I can't shoot unless I'm open. So the way to get open is to have better conditioning than everybody on the planet, right? Like there's a domino effect of it where it's like, hey, he may not love conditioning, but you know what he does love? Shooting enough to condition at the highest level possible, right? Like Steph Curry is one of the most conditioned athletes I've ever seen in my life. It's ridiculous.
I think elite level fitness is demoralizing.
It is.
You ever play against people that never look tired?
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, man, again? Right?
Yeah.
Man, when we were really good at our craft, that's just how it was. The talent was fine. And I'm not going to try to minimize and say, you don't have good players. But the whole thing is, I mean, Aaron Taylor told it wasn't even a funny story because he's super intense. AT is like, I mean, sometimes he's almost miserable to be around because he can come across as mean-spirited, but he's not. He's just all business.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a 6'1", 300-pound guy coming out of Texas that wanted to go to A&M, and nobody wanted him.
Yeah, because he's a 6 foot tall offensive lineman.
He had one other offer.
Yeah,
and just how it shaped his competitive stamina. He's like, well, I got to play to my strengths. What are my strengths? My strengths are I have a tremendous capacity to do work. Now, he sells himself short on the talent level because you don't win an Outland and not be talented.
Right.
Right. You don't get drafted at 6. I'm going to say 1. And I don't want to fight him. And
how tall does he say? 6'1"?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I kind of looked at him Friday, and I didn't want to mess up the flow because he was actually being nice. But like that's what it was. Like you talk to Grant, who's a first round draft. Wait, is he first round? Second round? Wistrom. Yeah.
Yeah, he was first.
And he's gonna be pissed. I didn't know that, but I think I just forgot. All he ever talks about?
What's that?
Competing. He didn't talk about his talent. He didn't talk about multi-sports. He just, he told a story about Charlie playing soccer and her versatility.
Oh, he's gonna be mad at you. He was 6th overall.
Yeah, it's wolf because Jason was 12. Like it's apparent.
Yeah,
I just had a brain fart. Must have been in a skillet. About playing several different positions in soccer early in her career, but it's in her to just compete.
Yeah.
Right? Like, hey, just go with it.
Yeah.
Just go with it. Just go with it. Like, we're competing. And I'm like, we act like it's this secret sauce, but it's really not. Even in dark days personally, like it still boils down to competing. Even when you don't want to go to work and on a lighter note, and it still boils down to competing.
Yeah.
Right? Going to chemo boils down to competing.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, I don't know. It's in everything, so I'm fascinated by it. I just am. Like doing the menial for, and I did ask the guy about overtime because I'm making small talk with guys that are having much
digging holes.
Yes, and it's deep. And I'm like, wow, who poured the concrete? Because there were like these 90-degree angles down there of these things that whatever has to sit on. It's so far above my pay grade. I have no idea. I'm like, who's measuring that? And it's below ground. Like in my head, I'm like, who cares? But I'm sure it probably matters.
Oh, yeah.
And is that any different than taking a 6-inch lateral lead step in zone when you got to get to the point of attack on duo? You think those guys aren't mad to say a 6-inch step?
Yeah.
They probably are over time, right? But at some point, the 6 inches matters.
At some point, they're going to say, hey, who cares?
So then I'm making the correlation. I was like, well, clearly, if it could be any old kind of way,
it would be.
They just pour the concrete.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I like that kind of stuff.
It's funny because to contrast my inability to do that on a basketball court, but you know what I did for 10 years? I just looked at financial transactions for 8 to 10 hours a day. And that would drive a lot of people crazy, right? Fits the way my brain works. I'm just sitting there. I'm doing pretty much the same thing. The transactions are different, but just looking at the transactions hour after hour, day after day after. I did that for 10, almost 12 years, right? And didn't bother me at all.
Do you know why I don't mind if he pulls the black shirts?
Why?
Because he wants to remind them that being a black shirt is on the constant. It's not
like an earn it every day thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't mind that at all.
Yeah.
And so it's just little things. It's so the whole I know it was Akron. It's like, God, that is so disrespectful to the people that are actually competing. You think they don't know it's Akron, but they still have a standard that they have to execute. They just do. And so it, right, wrong, or indifferent, it chafes my hide.
So there was something that Coach Rhule said in the leaked video that I sort of was wondering about as we're having this conversation, where obviously you're looking at, hey, this is the standard we're trying to play up to. But when you're new at achieving that at a high level,
which part
of the standard, of kind of your standard,
the level,
like achieving
the level that he's asking for?
Yes.
Okay.
How often, and I don't know if you've been in this situation or not, but how often do you realize things like when he's describing what Akron was doing to them, where he's like, hey, they're cutting us. They're cutting our offensive lineman with 40 seconds left. And if they're dropping back to pass at the end of the half, they don't respect you. Like, how much of that do you not even realize is part of it as it's happening real time until someone says, hey, this is what the standard looks like too?
That's a good question. I thought the example was fantastic because he put into words like the practical application of what it means. Like, when we would say the best formation we had was victory formation, right? We would try to take a knee as early as possible. Why? Because it's emotional.
Yeah.
You got to watch us take a knee with 2 minutes to go. We're not going to run a play. Now, a lot of times, shoot, I might have been a guy in the game, and I'm like, man, give me the rock. I want a cheapie. So like you would wrestle with that sometimes. And but what it does psychologically is it continues to set the tone. So for him to say that out loud, you know what? You want a team to say, let's just get to the locker room. Like, why are they trying to score with X amount of time? Whatever it was, 35, 40 seconds. You're like, hey, man, take it to the half.
Yeah.
Minnesota got in the gun with 20-some seconds left before the half and got down and got in field goal position, right, with a rookie quarterback. So the other way to look at that is O'Connell saying, this guy's played like dog manure up until this point.
Let's see if we can get him an easy one.
But in this moment,
I'm
not changing. The standard is the standard. Let's rip this thing. You get the 18-yard of the start. Then you get another one. Then you set your boy up for a 59-yarder. They get points. Like they could, if he didn't believe in what they were doing,
wouldn't have done it.
He would have conceded.
Yeah.
Because up until that point, that offense had really had a pulse.
Yeah.
And that's the guy that you want gripping and ripping it with 30 seconds to go and one timeout.
When you have no idea if he even can, really.
It was less than 30 seconds.
Yeah.
You don't think that changed, that set the tone? See, I like stuff like that. And what Coach Rhule was saying was exactly what O'Connell was telling McCarthy without actually saying the words to the opposite. I think you're good enough. I think we're good enough. So this is what we're going to do. Conversely, Coach Rhule is saying they don't think you're good enough. So this is why they're doing what they're doing.
And you have to show them that you are, and not make them not want to do it again.
100%. I mean, you had to be. We're Vikings. We'll ask Schaefer. Schaefer, did you just want Minnesota to go to the half?
Yeah, just get out of there.
Now, hindsight's 2020. You'd be like, no, man. But with like 20-some seconds, what gave you
Nothing went well.
The inkling that they were going to drive down and get themselves in position for a field goal?
Nothing.
I thought it was huge. That's why I love chaos. That's why I love O'Connell.
So really,
it's weird, isn't it? You're getting way more into my weirdness. Which, strangely enough, is why I rock with serial killers.
I actually was going to bring it up, and I was like, I don't want to derail this. Because there was something you said in there where I was like, oh, there's the serial killer tie-in.
or hunting, like killer whale. Like, there's something to the methodology.
And part of it, so a lot of it is, though, with the Akron, Minnesota, Chicago, Nebraska thing, you're trying to get them to compromise their standard before you do.
Exactly.
Let's talk to Brett Ciancia coming up next year on Pick 6 Previews.
Yeah, it felt great, man, but I was just, doing what I do in practice, and I give credit to those guys up front for blocking their butts off for me every single day. It felt really good, man. Just get used to it. Get used to it. Yes, sir. It's something that I've, watched a lot of the film from last season and how I can get better, and just, especially in this conference, man, getting vertical is huge and getting the yards. So I watched my film from last year, and I kind of realized that, just keeping the game simple, running behind my pads, lowering my shoulder if I have to. Just running hard takes a lot out of defense. So I'm just going to continue to do that moving forward. God is so good, man. Getting in the end zone, honestly, it felt nothing like it did getting baptized. I think getting baptized, I felt a lot more joy. But I wanted to make sure with my first touchdown that I just offered it up to the Lord, because I know the story of Cain and Abel offering the first fruits. God sees that as he honors the person who gives him his first fruits. And I wanted to give God my first fruit of my first touchdown and honor him in my work, basically, or the way I play. It was amazing. And then getting to do that and get to share life with one of the most loving person I ever met. She just loves Jesus, loves the Lord, and I'm just so happy.
We're in the neighborhood, just down the street. With a wide variety of home equity products to help you create a relaxing oasis. So you can kick back and relax in comfort. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Now, the owner of Pick Six Previews, Brett Ciancia.
And a pass is picked off. Pick six. Pick six to the checkerboard end zone.
Pick Six Previews, the #1 most accurate college football preview.
Go, big man, go. It's a pick six.
Pick Six Previews with Brett Ciancia.
Pick six. Pick six. Give me all of them.
Here is Brett Ciancia.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. It's time to talk to our friend Brett Ciancia from Pick Six Previews. Brett, what's going on?
Thanks for having me on. Crazy week 2. I can't wait to break it down with you guys.
Hey, how about that intro? I'm kind of like,
yeah, that was pretty cool.
Get me all of them. I'm a big Pick Six guy, so I want to talk ball. Where should we start, Pete? Where should we start? Oh, that's right. Let's go down to the swamp. I want to go to Gainesville with listen, and I'm not one of those guys. Hear my heart. I don't revel in misery. But I do think it's interesting on the heels of the Lagway talk and what we were expecting. And you look up and it's like, uh-oh, now the schedule looks daunting. If you're Florida and you've got to figure out a way to kind of right the ship, how are you playing on offense to give yourself a chance going forward?
Yeah, well, that's the thing with Florida. I mean, the emotional roller coaster of college football, especially down in the South, it's so fickle. I mean, think back to last November. They wanted to fire Napier right there. I think the athletic director had to come out and make a statement proclaiming his support. And then after that statement, they won 5 straight, won their bowl game. They smoked Florida State, and then all the momentum swung back. So this thing goes both ways in Florida and in the SEC. But here's the thing. They drew the hardest schedule in the SEC. And I think that some Gator fans had adjusted their expectations for that, but you chalk up the USF as a W. That's one that you don't even consider as a loss. So now that you throw that into the mix before league play, they have a lot of problems to fix. Offense was held in check the whole game, just 16 points.
How do you think they should play with Lagway? Like, what would you do?
You got to let him loose. I mean, he's a dual threat guy. Let him run, let him roll out and have a choice to run or throw, mix in some RPO. Just let him loose. He's a 5-star quarterback now in his second year. I know that in the first year, you kind of put the handcuffs on the offense a little bit, let the guy grow up. But second season here, in my numbers last year, when he was on the field, they were a top 10 offense. Without him, bottom 10. So his plus minus is incredible. I want to see him take on more of the game. He's got good receivers around him too, and what's supposed to be a good offensive line. So I don't know. I want to see it click Saturday against LSU.
So one of the things that I always wondered, and we'll get off of Florida and Lagway here in a second, but one of the things I wondered over the offseason was this is a guy who has largely been banged up the entire time from November until August. whether it's variety of shoulder, hip, rib, calf, whatever. Well, there's a million of them, right? And so I sat here and I go, okay, this is a guy that he obviously needs to do some growing up to let him do for Florida to trust him do what they need to in the offense. When he had time to do that? Like, I feel like we just ignored the fact that he really had no healthy time to actually get better before we penciled him in to be a Heisman Trophy contender.
Yeah, that's a good point. Especially looking at a guy's second offseason, the first one in between his first year starting and second year starting, you tend to see a ton of growth. That growth happens because you have all those winter workouts, the spring ball, the fall camp, everything. So if you throw in an injury concern, I think he missed a ton of time, like you said. That might limit the progress. And they did have one tune-up game. They smoked Long Island in the opener, but then maybe they were looking a little bit ahead to LSU. You always wonder about the mental aspect of this. I mean, that's a huge game coming up, a big rival. LSU fresh off the win over Clemson. I don't want to say they overlooked USF, but maybe something like that crept in a little bit. But this team on paper is so talented. I still am high on them. I think they can get it fixed. They got it fixed last November, but it's just the schedule heats up so bad. It's going to be tough to get to 8, 9, 10 wins and be in playoff discussion. I think that might be off the table.
Let me go to the Big Ten, and let's get these teams on the black couch here, Brett. Who do you think feels better today about being 1-1? Iowa or Michigan?
Whoa, that's a tough one. I think you go with Michigan. I know with Iowa, you want to win that Cy-Hawk. I think should be a goal every year. You want to win that game. I think if you're Iowa, you want to see more out of the passing game. When they signed Mark Konowski, the two-time FCS national champion, you thought maybe you get some production from the pass game. He was held to just 86 passing yards this week. I know it's a good Iowa State defense, but just unacceptable there. I know a lot of that is play calling and running, a run-first mentality, but still you want to hit some play actions, hit some explosives in the pass game. So I think, you're a little bit upset about that. With Michigan, I think they knew what they were signing up for with the first-year starter with Bryce Underwood. There would be some growing pains. Of course, going into Norman is a tough assignment there. He looked a little bit uncomfortable in the pocket and missed some open throws, but those are freshman mistakes you tend to see. I think they knew that going in. Like I said, I think they signed up for that. Iowa, I think they thought they had a better passing game coming in, and it just didn't happen. So I think Iowa's more upset.
Brett, speaking of quarterback play in Iowa, who would you be more concerned about if you're one of these teams? Obviously, we're talking about very different pedigrees. We're also talking about kind of different schedules and things as well. We mentioned Lagway. We mentioned Gronowski. I'm going to throw Arch in there because there's been this weird rumor about a shoulder injury and fans trying to Zapruder film him. And then I'm going to throw Lenore Sellers in there as well.
Sellers is driving me crazy.
Guys that have had super high expectations in the offseasons, even Gronowski in context with Iowa, high expectations. Who would you be most concerned about with if you're the team with the specific quarterback?
Well, I think you got to look at Texas. I mean, because you're talking about a guy with Arch Manning that came in the number 1 overall quarterback, the number 1 overall prospect in America. He sat a couple years, so it's not like he's an 18-year-old like Bryce Underwood. He's been there. He's been in Austin for a while, so he knows the scheme, knows the personnel, and then was the preseason Heisman favorite. I know the betting odds don't really matter for something like this, but just for a general context, I mean, this guy was expected to come in and be at least a candidate in New York City. He hasn't looked the part at all. Maybe there is some injury. I didn't see any injury in the Ohio State game when he was missing open guys and when the offensive staff was scared to stretch the field vertically. And maybe Ohio State was taking some of that away. That's probably by design. And Damon, you can probably speak to that more. But still, I think you want to at least try some deep shots. And we didn't see that in week 1. And then last week, some of those throws, if you put it in super slow motion, maybe the mechanics look off. I don't want to read too far into it. Sark said he's okay. We'll see going forward. But I think you had a higher expectation. You thought you'd have one of the top offenses, one of the best passing attacks, and it just has not come true so far for Texas.
In the offseason, I asked this question, and we had to go back some ways, and we did some digging, and there's not a very good chance I'm going to end up having this come to fruition. But I said, hey, why is it so inconceivable that Florida, Florida State, and Miami can't all be good at the same time? And history says it doesn't happen a ton. I may get 2 out of the 3 this year. If you get to buy stock today at a good price, we buying Miami or we buying Florida State?
Yeah, well, I think the stock price might be lower for Florida State right now, so buy low.
Are
because
we
they have,
sure?
Yeah, because I think if you're going off the AP, which we know the AP poll's a mess, but the AP has Miami higher right now. So look, I like them both. I think it's a very winnable conference right now. Even the expected champion Clemson has not looked that sharp so far. They hung around with Troy. They were down 16-3 at half last week.
They can't run the ball. Like
Yeah,
they have no balance.
Yeah, there's some concerns over there. So now you're talking about a wide open conference. I had Miami projected second behind Clemson. I can project them number one now above Clemson. They showed me a lot in the Notre Dame game, a team I think is also a playoff team. So they already have that playoff win on the resume. Florida State as well. I mean, Alabama came in high expectations, a playoff projection as well. And Florida State ran all over the field, out-coached them, out-coordinated them. I love their coordinators at Florida State. So buy stock in both of them. I mean, I like them both to probably wait for Miami's sake, probably 10 wins. Florida State, maybe that 8, 9, 10 range. We'll see. They're still very variable, but both are now contenders in this ACC. I put them number 1 Miami, number 3 Florida State right now in the ACC.
So how large does that October 4th game for you probably loom with Florida State and Miami? Because I don't think that's how we had it drawn up. But in just a couple of weeks, it could get hectic.
Yeah, and with Miami, I have them projected as a favorite in all their remaining games. So that would obviously project an 8-0 ACC record. They'd be in that conference title game. Now, if you throw a loss into there against Florida State,
That's at Tallahassee.
Yeah. So, and I can tell you that the forecasts are shifting quickly with Florida State's power rating. I mean, they're one of the quickest movers so far this year. Well into my top 15 now. Started outside the top 25. So that game might flip to a loss. Now you're talking 7-1. And with only 8 league games, these tiebreakers get all messy in the ACC. So that might flip who's in Charlotte. So that's a huge game in the ACC race, especially because we've seen SMU fall off a little bit. I wasn't high on them, and they went out and lost to Baylor. Other contenders, Louisville has struggled on offense, which is shocking for a Jeff Brom team.
And they should be able to run the ball, man. I mean, he's dynamic. I don't have – what is going on in Louisville?
Yeah, that's a shocker so far. Maybe this early bye week is going to help them out a lot before league play. And Georgia Tech Clemson, this game might go a long way this Saturday. I actually have it as a pick'em, which is crazy.
Hey, that line is plummeted.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago you would have thought Clemson double digits, but right now I've got it as a pick'em. I know Georgia Tech right now, I think underdog by 3.5 or 4 at home. I like Georgia
open
Tech
at like
here.
7 or 7.5?
Yeah, it has tanked recently, especially after the Clemson-Troy game. But Georgia Tech, a dynamic quarterback there, Haynes King, a good running back. The offensive line play under Brent Key is always stout. So I like Georgia Tech here and a very manageable league schedule. If you look at Georgia Tech's schedule, oh my gosh, they won the schedule lottery this year. So if they somehow get past this Clemson hurdle, look at them as a team that could play in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Brett, so DB asked if Florida State, and Miami could all be good at the same time. Another conversation we had off of that was, can Florida State, Miami, and Clemson all be good at the same time? Because I think that's what the ACC needs to even start having a conversation about getting themselves back into a multi-bid league in the college football playoff. Are we headed for that this year? And if not, who's the team that's not going to hold up their end of the bargain?
Yeah, you're right about that. I mean, if you're not the Big Ten or not the SEC, these other 2 leagues, you really need your powerhouse programs to play to their potential. And the ACC does have 3 of them historically with Clemson, Miami, and Florida State. But, yeah, you're right. It's hard to get all 3 good at the same time. I mean, Miami had go back. Florida State had the 80s and 90s. Miami had that early 2000s with Ken Dorsey, that undefeated team. Then it shifted back to Florida State, then to Clemson with Dabo. So, yeah, it's a moving target. But they also need Virginia Tech to figure it out too, and that's probably one of the biggest train wrecks.
Prize in big trouble.
Yeah, that's an absolute train wreck. And growing up, I grew up in the 90s and 2000s. That was always a consistent top 25, even top 10 team at times. They got to play up to standard. And I do think Georgia Tech is on the rise. You look at geography. That's the one thing you can't change about a program is geography. They're based in Atlanta, which is such a hotbed of high school recruiting anymore, especially with the North Georgia area. So look at Georgia Tech as a riser. Yeah, I mean, for ACC's sake, they need all 3 of those plus some other fillers there to play up. And they might have it this year. I like how Florida State and Miami have showed so far.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not going to pull up Ravi and backpet too much. But remember I asked you the question of if Arizona State had so much experience coming back, why aren't they more of a consensus in the conference? They stubbed their toe early. But there are some teams that you did like that are at the top here. You called Tennessee or TCU was in that discussion. Texas Tech was in that discussion. Utah was in that discussion. Iowa State is in the catbird seat early. I'm not going to ask about multiple bids, but how many teams could you see with double-digit wins in the Big 12?
Yeah, well, I remember back in our conversation, I called it the most wide open conference I forecasted in 14 years of Pick Six previews.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know what? I ended up biting on Arizona State. I went for it. They returned 19 starters from last year. They did lose Scatterboo, but I like Sam Levitt at quarterback, and so far it has not come to fruition at all. He's really uncomfortable in the pocket. He's scrambling almost every pass play. They couldn't get it done. They came up short in the red zone against Mississippi State. It doesn't count on the league, the league standings, but that's a bad indicator going forward. Fastest risers are Utah and TCU so far. Utah destroying UCLA, TCU destroying UNC in the openers. So they're both up there as projected contenders. Texas Tech, we were high on since June and July. So if you're looking for double-digit win teams, I would throw Utah, TCU, Texas Tech. Baylor can bounce back after their loss to Auburn.
Sawyer Robertson is on fire.
Yeah.
He's got almost $1,000 in passing in 2 games.
Yeah, 3 straight 400-yard games. That's rare company. That's like Patrick Mahomes, Brandon Whedon, and I think RG3 the last 2 decades in the Big 12. So rare air there. Baylor's their offense is figured out. They got to get that defense figured out. But so there's 4 teams right there. Iowa State's already 3-0. I mean, they're almost halfway there. So yeah, I could think of 5, maybe even 6 that could get to double digits. It's a matter of how many at the same time.
Do you remember when we started, we were capping this deal and we said, so the top team in your league win total is 8.5. The bottom team in your league total was 4.5. And now all of a sudden we're maybe talking a handful of teams that could not only get to 9, but maybe 10. I don't know. That's a crazy, and they still got to play each other. So we'll see. But
yeah. You have a lot of infighting there. It's a 9-game league schedule. They're going to beat each other up. But yeah, you wonder how big the separation of the top teams and the middle tier. If they're tight together, then you're going to all go 8-4. But if these 4 teams can really separate at the top, then you might get some 9, 10, 11 win teams. So we'll see. It's so early yet, but some of these teams look impressive. I'm surprised the AP is not ranking more of these. I think they're being disrespected a bit.
Yeah, if you want my hot take, the most slept-on quarterback in the country resides in Ames. I think Rocco Beck is better than anyone on the national scope gives him credit for. And he's going to creep up draft boards. You watch, and it's going to be like, wait, what? He's better than we think.
Yeah, especially once that scoreboard flips to the fourth quarter, he becomes invincible. I mean, I think he's led 7 game-winning drives now. And if you look at the passing touchdown streak, too, he's got the active lead in FBS. I think it's 22 straight games he's thrown a touchdown. That's the longest active streak. And yeah, and guys, it's almost Rocktober too. I mean, they had Brocktober with Iowa State all those years of Purdy, and this is like the next Purdy. So you got Rocktober coming up. No, he's special to watch for sure.
Yeah, he's and I get it. He doesn't really fit. He's 6'1" He's maybe kind of a meatball, but man, that guy he's pretty clutch. Let me flip over to back to the Big Ten for a second. And I get it. They're hammering folks because in the schedule it says so, and they're going to put it on Northwestern, I think, this week. Has your opinion at all changed or stayed the same when it comes to looking at Oregon?
Yeah, well, back in the preseason when I was doing my research, I was blown away by the talent that he was stockpiling up there in Eugene. I mean, if you did it on a per player basis, it was #1 high school recruiting and #1 transfer class. So I was shocked. But when I went through it, it was a lot of new starters, a lot of true sophomores, redshirt freshmen. So I was thinking 2026. I actually put in the preview book, Oregon's my national champion pick for 2026. I thought we were a year early, but now with this new playoff system where you could go 10-2 this year, make a playoff bracket, and then really round into form in December, January, and get hot. So maybe they're still a national title contender. But they've come out of the gates a lot sharper than I thought they would. I thought there'd be growing pains, and I'm not seeing any of it. It looks like they picked up right where they left off last year. It looked like they were practicing 7-on-7 on air against Oklahoma State. I mean, untouched for long touchdowns, consecutive pick sixes there in the third quarter. So just one of the biggest blowouts that I've ever seen in a Power 4 game. So yeah, they're right up there in the title conversation, maybe a year early than I thought.
What's the game within the game with the Bulldogs and Volunteers this week? For as much as Georgia, Tennessee can, kind of feels like it's flying under the radar.
Yeah, well, Georgia's like the secret team. I don't think I've seen any highlights. I mean, you have to really seek it out. I mean, ESPN not talking about them much. You forget that they were just the 2-time national champions a couple of years ago. With this one, who's going to be able to create more explosives in the pass game? I think both have had struggles with that. Tennessee last year really struggled with Nico to create vertical passing. Georgia this year has struggled so far. You look at some of their point totals and some of their passing stats, it's not quite there. Now, Gunnar Stockton has created with his legs. I like that aspect of their game, but I think you have two stellar defenses. So which quarterback and which passing attack is going to be able to break the game open, even if it's for a couple of explosives, 1 or 2 or 3, that might be the difference.
Brett, would you trade Aguilar back for Iamaleava right now?
No, I'd keep Aguilar. I mean, Nico, now you can see him in a different surroundings. He thought it wasn't good enough at Tennessee. He went out to UCLA. It's the same old story. I mean, Utah shut him down, I think 100 passing yards. Last week they lost to UNLV. And I know it's a team sport, but he is not the 5-star game changer that some people thought he would be. So, and with Aguilar, he took care of business so far. I mean, in the Syracuse opener, he lit him up. I think they scored 59 points. So I'd take what you have with Aguilar. It seems like the team is responding well so far.
So, Brett, let me ask you something about with what's going on in Westwood and UCLA with Nico and that staff. I think Orgy's out for the season in UNLV, so maybe that changes the Rebels' trajectory. But what was your level of surprise in the outcome of that one, and what do you look at when you see Westwood?
Well, I thought they'd be a little bit sharper here in the second season, but I remember in the preseason research I was going through that winter transfer cycle. They lost so many starters to the portal, and they didn't backfill. It's one thing if you lose a handful of starters, but then sign a handful of starters back from Power 4 teams. It wasn't happening. So that signaled that maybe the financial resources are down, the commitment's down. So that's one thing. That's preseason. But then to see it on the field, I mean, it was very, very incompetent against Utah. They couldn't do anything. Their stadium was half empty. In fact, half of the stadium was red anyway against Utah. It was all Utah people. So I don't know what's happening out there. It could be one of the worst Big Ten teams this year down there with Purdue, with Northwestern. So they've been downgraded a couple spots for me so far. I don't know. I thought it would look cleaner in the second year. Usually you see that in a second year of a coaching staff, but new coordinators already, new quarterback. It's just not clicking. So pretty down on UCLA right now.
Brett, kind of a random one who got a big win. We talked about Arizona State earlier. Jeff Lebby and Mississippi State. I know it's just 2 games. How are you feeling about Jeff Lebby and his early returns down in Starkville?
That's a major win for them. A top 10 win at home. Just a college football primetime moment there. The walk-off touchdown with 30 seconds left was pretty cool to watch. You've seen the reactions all over the internet, and then they stormed the field. That was the kind of spark that they needed. It had been boring a couple seasons after Mike Leach, so they needed some kind of spark. He was supposed to bring it last year. It might be a year late, but he's an offensive guy. He's got roots all over the country. I think in the Art Briles system. He was at Oklahoma a couple years. So when you hire a guy like that, you expect the offense to get there, and I think it will. But really, his defense was the difference here. They held Arizona State to 3 points in the first half, really kept Leavitt uncomfortable. And this is supposed to be your Big 12 defending champion or your projected favorite in some cases. So huge win, some momentum heading into a tough SEC. But, yeah, they really needed that, and I think they're trending back towards a bowl.
I want to get to these two because you talk about flying under the radar. I'm fascinated. I want to start with A&M and Notre Dame. It seems like it's must win for Notre Dame with your 2 marquee non-cons. You'd like to at least split there. A&M quietly is off to a pretty good start. I get it. It's 7. Does it seem like it's must win for the Domers?
I think so. Because they don't have the automatic bid path that you have in a Power 4 conference. Like if Clemson were to drop 2 non-conference games, they still have that backdoor path through their conference like they did last year. Notre Dame, not so much. And they've already been testing the bounds of how Notre Dame can make the playoff. Last year, they lost to Northern Illinois. I thought that might be a straight elimination shot right there. I didn't know how they would evaluate an 11-1 Notre Dame. But they ran the table and earned a spot. This year, the new test is, can they go 2 losses, and especially 0-2 against 2 of their harder teams? Because if you take those 2 games off the ledger, their best win would eventually be USC. I'm looking at it right now. I mean, Boise State took a loss. They're no longer ranked. So you're looking at a schedule outside of these first 2 games, no ranked teams remaining. So I don't know if there's enough resume builder there going forward to earn an at-large bid. So, yeah, you're talking about if you go 0-2 against your 2 ranked teams for the whole season, that's going to be tough to make a bracket. So really crucial for Notre Dame.
Let me jump down to South Carolina, 2-0. They haven't looked really good, especially on offense. And I know because in our quarterback draft league, I have Sellers, and he is not helping your boy out, Brett. But he's got a Vanderbilt bunch that, man, they play a lot like their coach and a lot like their quarterback. They are fearless, and it's just 5.5. Interesting number.
Yeah, interesting number. I lean Vanderbilt here, actually. My numbers have it Vanderbilt by South Carolina by 2. So that would impute about a field goal value for Vanderbilt. Look, I know it's easy to do, it's common to do, but look at their common opponent. They both just played Virginia Tech within the last 10 days. South Carolina struggled. It was close. They needed a punt return to pull away at the end there. I think they won 24-11. Vanderbilt ended up blowing them out in the fourth quarter. Diego Pavia really took over. Eli Stowers, a tight end. And you're right. They took on the personality of their coach. They're aggressive. They're going for the win. They don't care that their helmet says Vanderbilt and all their program history. They want to win now. So, yeah, I mean, I like the attitude from Vanderbilt, and the numbers look like that too. So I'm going to go Vandy here to pull the upset. South Carolina has not impressed so far, and then we'll see about that going forward.
Brett, the one game that I'm sort of morbidly interested in is Alabama and Wisconsin because of their head coaching situations, right? Kalen DeBoer off to kind of a rocky start. Luke Fickell probably on his last legs. That's a huge line in favor of Alabama. But I thought
it would be more.
You think so?
It was a 14.5.
I've got it at 20.5.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm not seeing it right. Okay, go ahead.
But it's also from ESPN, and they're off a lot, so I'm not sure. Brett, as you watch that one, is this a situation where if DeBoer loses to Fickell, he's in real trouble, whereas people kind of expect Fickell to lose this game?
There's no way.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I think there's nothing to gain for DeBoer here. I mean, unless they blow him out. I mean, it's expected to win. They're already thinking ahead to their marquee games with Georgia coming up at the end of the month. LSU's on the schedule. Auburn, obviously, the Iron Bowl. Those are going to be the things that decide his fate. But there's a whole lot to lose. If they lose to Wisconsin, then he might not even make it back. He might not get to the Iron. That might be it. He might be fired on the field afterwards. I mean, that's just, that's going to be a tough spot for him. But with Luke Fickell, that schedule is so brutal. I think that the expectations shifted in preseason for fans. Like, they might be happy with just making a bowl this year and buying another year into 2026. But that's not the case with Alabama. They want to win out. They want playoff. They want everything. So, it's must win for Kalen DeBoer.
I'm curious because it's in the conference, and I was shocked at the number. How about Minnesota laying less than a key number, just 2.5 on the road at Berkeley?
I agree with you. I like Minnesota by more than that number. I think they played some flawless football so far, albeit against some weaker opponents. But, I like what they've shown so far. Cal, I think, has upgraded in the power ratings, and I agree with it a little bit based off their quarterback. Of course, originally they were going to go with Devin Brown, the old Ohio State backup. Instead, they opted for their 4-star freshman quarterback. It's a tough last name. I haven't worked on that one yet, but he's lighting up the stat sheet, and I think it's turned them into a more complete team. You always have a solid defense with Justin Wilcox, but now with a potential passing attack, that could be something to watch. Cal's a team I thought we had written off in the preseason. They lost all their star players. Yeah. They had like a coaching coup. They were trying to hold out.
Does Rivera really want Wilcox's job? It was weird.
So it was a really weird offseason. But now that we're actually playing football, I mean, they blew out Oregon State and then followed it up 2-0 last week. So I'm going to go Minnesota here, though, bigger than the field goal spread. But, keep an eye on that game. It's interesting.
Yeah, I saw that line, and I'm thinking a little bit of fool's gold. I mean, maybe it's sleepy going out to Berkeley, but let me give you one last one. And I know Texas State is good. But Arizona State, maybe a little bit of a hangover. Just 14. we talked about Arizona State in the opener. Maybe Scatterbo was just that good for them last year. But Texas State seems to be like a pretty live dog catching a huge number.
Yeah, Texas State's one of those teams that was considered atop the Sun Belt race. And then, of course, if you're atop of a non-AQ race and you're in that playoff discussion loosely. So they were considered in preseason. I think Arizona State only beat them by a field goal last year. So even with last year's Big 12 title game, it was a tight game. And I think if you're Arizona State, you're going to learn a lot about your locker room, about Dillingham, his ability to motivate after a loss, because they came in with sky-high expectations. They go on the road and lose a deflating game in a tough environment. How do you refocus for Texas State? And no knock on them, but this is not a Big 12, ranked matchup. This is a Sun Belt team. You're going to learn a lot about how they respond right away. And I want to see more from Sam Leavitt in the pocket. I want to see him calm down, hit his open targets. I want to see Jordan Tyson. He had a couple drops, supposed to be a first-round receiver. So they have a lot to grow, and I think that this will be an important game for them before Big 12 race heats up. So we're going to learn a lot. I think they'll be fine, but you're running out of mulligans if you're Arizona State.
All in or all out? We'll get you out on this one on Prebula and what's going on at Missouri.
Well, it's tough. I think in other conferences, I'd be all in. I think they could contend in some leagues, but in this SEC, I still have them down 12th, 13th in the conference. It's just so crowded. I did like how they responded to a big Kansas deficit. If you look at the stats on that, they outgained them by 350 yards. Yeah. A little bit misleading there if you're looking at just the final score.
I was surprised it was 35-31. I'm like, how?
Yeah. So
at the time before they got the late score, I'm like, it seemed like Missouri was dominating.
Yeah, but you got to give him credit for reloading at receiver. There's so much talent at Missouri. It's just such a crowded conference. So I don't know how to answer it all in or all out, but they're a solid team stuck in a really tough conference.
Who's the worst team in the Power Four? Oregon State or Stanford?
It's got to be Stanford. Just brutal to watch. I was up late over here on the East Coast. It was like a 1 a.m. finish against BYU. It took until 1 a.m. to see some points on the board for them. They were shut out the first three quarters. Passing game brutal. I think they had like 10 rushing yards the whole game. Yeah, I'm going Stanford. I had them dead last to enter the season. They're still dead last for me.
Yeah, Oregon State only a 24-point dog to Texas Tech. That did not look right.
They got to learn how to punt the ball too. I don't know if you saw that. It was one of the worst punts I've ever seen. A guy like a soccer kick, he passed the ball on the field. Ridiculous.
Everybody forgets about ACC Power Stanford. Brett, we appreciate the time. As always, great stuff. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy week 3.
Thanks, B.
That's Brett Ciancia, Pick 6 previews.
It's a big number, and I don't love it.
Yeah.
I don't get into bigger spreads, but Texas Tech, 23.5 over Oregon State. Stay away. We'll lock it up later in the week.
Yeah. We'll get it done on Friday.
There's a couple that we're going
to snipe them.
Lock it up. Lock it up.
We like talking to our guy, Brett Ciancia.
Has Purdue got anything for SC?
No, they don't.
No,
absolutely not.
Why'd you say it like that? It's kind of weird. No,
Purdue's. I think Purdue's pretty bad.
I mean, shouldn't Minnesota be favored by more?
Than the 2.5? Yeah, that's wild. I hadn't looked at that line when you said it. I didn't think you had it right. That doesn't sound right at all.
Are they begging me to look at Cal?
Hey, listen, this is one of
because what is that? That's 9:30.
Yeah, it's.
It'll be fight time, but
that's one of those where I look at it and I go, oh, that's free money, and you look at it and you go, why is the number so small?
Yeah,
that's typically how this goes.
Yeah, and you're a big free money guy.
Oh yeah, I'm like, hey, that's free money.
You and B. Edwards.
Cal's bad. Minnesota's better than that. Give me the free money.
Maybe they're factoring in travel. Number doesn't look right though.
Oh, that's what I did with Illinois Duke last week. I was like, hey, they're better than. I think it was 2.5 with them too. I got they're better than Duke.
And I've talked about Brett Pry for more than anybody else in Nebraska at Tech. What would you have made that Old Dominion line? Old Dominion. It's in Blacksburg.
It's got to be at least like, I don't know. Virginia Tech's not very good. It's got to be at least like 17.
Old Dominion.
Yeah, minus 10.
What?
Yeah, 7.5.
Come on. That's wild.
Yeah. That's where we're at in
you can
Blacksburg.
buy a hook to a 1-score game against Old Dominion.
Correct.
Good Lord.
Yeah, he's in
trouble.
Yeah. Were you impressed with what Illinois did late against?
Yeah. Illinois is pretty good.
Duque?
Well, Illinois is pretty good. They might have had I don't know if they've got a leap in them, but they might have a little mini level that I didn't see in them. I think they've played pretty well this year. I'll take it. They took care of business against Western Illinois, which you do what you got to do.
We need a stock up, stock down report on Thursday before we head into Big Ten play next week. Because
I'll take it.
There are a couple of teams.
UCLA, stock way down.
I'm floored. I thought they rebuilt that D line enough.
This is what I was worried about.
I was never all in on Nico anyway.
Yeah.
But so that part.
It kind of is what it is.
Defensively, I thought that they would figure out that defensive line.
And my concern may not be their actual problem. It might not be. That bringing in Nico last minute could kind of.
No, you want it to be because you don't like him.
So
no. I had to
I don't necessarily want it to be. I think that's a real thing that could happen when you're preaching culture and you've got this guy in there. I don't know if they like Joey Aguilar or not. I have no idea. Like the Root teammates, I have no idea if they liked him or not. But if you're preaching culture and like working hard and doing your job, and then you kind of what seemed like sell out at the last minute to get a guy, I wonder how that can affect the locker room. And I don't know if that's the problem. They might just not be good enough.
Yeah.
Right. I have no idea. But I do think they're I think they're worse than I thought they were going to be.
Has New Mexico ever been must win?
It is now.
Well, you have New Mexico and Northwestern before you play Penn State.
Yeah, I mean, you could.
You can. Listen, they gotta go to Evanston, and I'm not making light of that. I'm just saying, like, that ain't no gimme.
I mean, yeah, when you're playing as bad as they are, there's.
So New Mexico is must win.
Absolutely.
The Lobos are must win.
Absolutely.
It's at the Rose Bowl too. I don't even know if it matters because nobody
goes to those games.
Going.
Nobody. New Mexico might travel better than UCLA.
Hey, you realize? Hey, you better record that too because it's on BTN.
Always, I record all the games.
Were you disappointed Nebraska hasn't made BTN in 60?
I am super annoyed by it.
Are you mad?
I'm not mad. It's a little annoying. I understand the first.
Just go key plays on YouTube.
I don't want to do that because then I miss too much. Like if I'm rewatching
more
stuff,
than you'd watch in BTN.
Yeah, because you don't miss any plays in BTN and 60. They just condense everything.
Yeah, but the key play is in how many key plays do you think there are if you go back to YouTube TV for Nebraska, Akron?
Oh, for Akron, I don't know. I know a lot of times there's like.
What's a big number? I don't do it enough. What's a big number in watch key plays on YouTube TV?
In my experience, if you get into like past the 10-12 range, you're in a lot.
Do you know how many watch the key plays there were in Baltimore, Buffalo?
Oh, there had to be a bunch of, I don't know.
48. Is that a big no? I don't like. I need somebody because I don't do that. I would just watch the game.
Yeah.
Right. But I did want to see what happened after, like what they considered a key play after the quarterback sneak from.
Yeah.
Yeshua, Josh Allen.
Yeah.
And they showed the going for two and they're running the route short on third down. Did you want Harbaugh to go for it?
No, not really.
Really?
I didn't.
Huh.
So
you know what I figured out watching it though?
What's that?
And I was just a glutton because it stemmed from me asking the question to Ty yesterday. Because the numbers that Baltimore put up offensively, you're thinking
can't lose that game.
Again, a 94 rating for your quarterback, and your QBR rating, which is a little different than just QBR, was 144.4. They ran the ball for 8 per.
Yeah.
He only had 7 incompletions.
I don't know. I don't know how you lose that game.
So I'm going back. Man, we're not talking enough about Baltimore's defense. Man, Jair Alexander.
They got gashed.
What happened? Remember when he was good?
Yep. Not that long ago. They got gashed. That's why when you asked yesterday.
They're just throwing the ball over his head. The PI that he had that's extended that drive.
Terrible.
Was pretty bad.
That's why when you asked Ty yesterday, was that a Buffalo or a Baltimore thing.
Yeah, you need to move a Baltimore joke.
Absolutely. You can't be up 40-25 with under 4 minutes left and lose a game and have it be the other team did it to you. You were complicit.
Even though Josh Allen is pretty sweet.
Absolutely. Josh Allen could have still been pretty sweet, and unless Baltimore pees it down their leg, he still doesn't win that game. We'd look at him and be like, "Oh, crazy game for Josh Allen and a loss." He'd have the Mike Trout line. Mike Trout went 4 for 5 and hit 4 home runs for the Angels, and then lost 8-4. Like that'd have been the Josh Allen line.
You're all right.
Unless Baltimore is like, "Oh, here you go. We got this for you." Their defense was awful.
It was wild out here.
That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla. More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
Imagine your first dream home and the feeling of walking inside for the first time. With Centris Federal Credit Union's first-time home buyers program, you are at the doorstep of bringing your vision to life. Welcome home. From your neighborhood mortgage experts, Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Our question of the day, Huskers wins on this season, over or under 9.5?
Go Big Red, over!
Have you looked at Matt Rhule year 3? Come on. Baylor, Temple, over 10 wins. We're going 10-2, easily.
I think we're going 9-3.
Oh, we're going over 100% Nebraska all the way.
I agree. Over 9 for sure. Because
Solid.
Jalen Graham's dad is the best. Grandpa, he's
100%.
got it.
We're going to be undefeated going to College Station, Penn State. Better be a whiteout. What's happening? Because the Huskers are coming, all right?
Last year, they got to a bowl game. This year, it's a whole nother level. And that's getting 10 wins.
Playoffs.
I don't know about football. I know about beer. I'm a Hawkeye fan in disguise, so I don't comment here.
I don't think they're going to hit 9 wins.
I think we go 11-1 this year and go to the playoffs this year.
Okay, we don't play Indiana. So, I mean, hey, 12-1, hey, that's my prediction.
Over 9.5 wins.
Hammer the money line.
Skurs are back, baby. Skurs by 90. Let's go Big Red, huh?
And remember, for the best sports book in Nebraska, be sure to visit Warhorse Casino in Lincoln and in Omaha.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DBM Ravi Lulla reminding you, if you're looking at your real estate apps all the time, why don't you take that next step? Go to centrusfcu.org, get a pre-approval, see what you can afford, see what your rates are, and see what programs they have to help you out. Talk to an expert today, centrusfcu.org. Terms and conditions apply. Federally insured by NCUA and an equal housing lender. Let's talk to our guy, Ryan Roberts. We've got one of the biggest games of the week that maybe is not getting paid as much attention to after Notre Dame had the loss to Miami. Ryan Roberts from A to Z Sports. What's going on?
Hey, fellas, how are you?
How are we doing? I feel like we are always talking to you about drafts and the NFL big pictures, and now we're going to kind of like drill down into actual college football games, man. So we appreciate your flexibility.
No doubt. It's, like you said, it's a little bit of from a Notre Dame side of things, it's a little bit of a strange week so far. I mean, you obviously had the letdown in Miami. You didn't play an overly good game, but you still managed to keep it close in the end. You lose that game, and then you go right into a early season bye week. So like for the last week or so, Notre Dame fans have just been kind of laying low in the grass a little bit, like still remaining hopeful because you're still a top 10 team ranked. But, I think some Notre Dame fans are a little bit, I guess the word is anxious kind of coming out of this bye week to see what they could look like at Texas A&M, because you typically, over the last couple of years anyway, Coach Freeman's teams have been very prepared after tough losses. You kind of see them kind of rebound pretty well, but then there also have been some mixed results at home openers the last couple of weeks too. So a couple of years, I should say. So very interested to see what they look like this week. But it's been a little bit of a mixed bag the last week from Notre Dame fans.
All right. So of kind of a couple of narratives I felt like immediately were coming out of this game against Miami. Number one, we may have found something with CJ Carr. I don't know if I exactly felt that, but I do know that that's a thing, right? I think we have something in Carr. The other thing was, why didn't they run the ball more? Okay, so of those two things, which one are we more apt to see bear fruit against A&M?
It's a good question. I think that I think it was an interesting just kind of parallel between the two in the first game, because I do think the lack of being authoritative in the run game, I think, was a little bit based upon you were trying to get, ideally, some easy looks for CJ Carr in the passing game. So what they were doing was there was a heavy emphasis on the RPO game and early in that game. And I think that CJ pulled a couple times when he shouldn't have pulled, to be honest, right? Like he threw that interception, obviously, off the tip ball. Apparently, and they talked about it in the presser this week from Coach Freeman, there's probably going to be a little bit more of an emphasis of like, hey, CJ, this is an RPO look, but like, we really would rather you give here.
Yeah,
what I mean?
That's something you can't sprinkle in, right? We run that a ton. You can't sprinkle in RPOs. You have to rep the heck out of those reads.
Especially for a kid that he's a smart young man, which is why he's in the position he is only a redshirt freshman. He's kind of had that billing since he was a high school sophomore and junior, which is kind of his football acumen. But he's a first-year starter. He's a first-game starter, right? So, like, things are going to be moving fast, and I honestly did not like the game plan there. Like, I like the RPO game with CJ Carr in theory. I think he's going to be really good at it during the course of his career, more than likely. But in the first game, I want the game to slow down for a kid. I don't want his mind going three different ways of like, all right, let's count the numbers here. Do I have a numbers advantage? Is there anything post snap that changes my numbers advantage? Then am I going to pull late? Like, I just don't. That's too much for me, right? Like, I would have liked more of maybe heavily relying on, let's get the run game going. Let's work the play action game off of this. And then later in the game, as he kind of has his bearings, the game's slowing down a little bit, then let's mix in that stuff when he starts to get a little bit more comfortable. So I understood the ideology of it, but I do think that it was a little bit too much. But for like the future, I would be shocked, and I mean shocked, if Notre Dame against Texas A&M didn't come out and try to run the ball heavily. So I think there's going to be less RPO. I think that we're going to see CJ Carr maybe off to a little bit of a slower start in the box score, just because I do think there's going to be a heavy emphasis on let's get our best player of the football. And I mean, you could argue that the two best players in Notre Dame's offense are their two running backs. So I think there's going to be a heavy emphasis trying to get the run game going.
Yeah, I was shocked. And I think it was on, the heels of watching, Clemson's ineptness at offense, even as good as Klubnik is supposed to be, right? They let LSU just play without worrying about the run. We let Miami just rush the passer without really fear of the run game. It's just, I thought, I don't know. I guess I like C.J. Carr's emergence, but, man, I sure would like to have seen them commit to the run more, especially downhill.
Yeah. Well, I think my biggest letdown from the game, honestly, was outside of even just the ideology of how to best implement Carr and get him comfortable, was I thought the Notre Dame offensive line didn't play overly well, right? Like I thought that they really kind of let him down a little bit, just both not only as a run in the run game perspective for the opportunities they had, but I think the pass protection was very iffy, especially obviously on that last drive.
Those guys were pinning their ears back, though, Ryan. That is tough with two first-rounders rushing the passer.
It's not easy for sure, but I don't think you made it easy on him either. I think you made it easy on him, right? Like it was too predictable, and I wanted more play action. I wanted a more heavy emphasis on the run game because I think that's how you mix and match and try to confuse a pass rush, is try to slow them down a little bit outside of the screen game, which obviously they were trying to do. But you need to kind of make those defensive linemen think a little bit. And I just think that you kind of let them off the hook a little bit and didn't really try to speed up their thought process at all, and that turned into the production. So I think the offensive line didn't play overly well, but again, Jeremiah Love's your best player. Like, he's your best player. There's no question about it. And he is a guy that also can affect the passing game as well.
I did like you guys do it to him.
In the pass game. Yeah. That's been a huge emphasis. Like for spring practice into fall camp and everything that we've had availability for on talking to Coach Denbrock and Coach Freeman, they really want to get both the running backs on the field together a lot as well. So like the emphasis of Jeremiah Love splitting out into slot at times, being involved in the screen game, out of the backfield opportunities. Like, I think that will be sprinkled in a whole lot more too. I mean, that's a young man though. Like, he's not going to be here after this year, right? Like, let's be honest with ourselves. He's not going to be here as a senior. So you need to be able to utilize him in as many ways as you can, because the offense should run through him. And Notre Dame does have a lot of good secondary options in this offense. Like, I think Jaden Greathouse and Malachi Fields and Jadarian Price, like, you have a lot of great options off of Jeremiah Love. But I mean, Notre Dame fans, just in general, we haven't seen a running back like Jeremiah Love in South Bend in a very, very long time. So utilizing as much as you can, I think, needs to be a point of emphasis moving forward. The offensive line play, I think, does need to take a step forward as well.
Ryan, after seeing the Miami game, what are some things you think Texas A&M does that could give Notre Dame some problems?
Yeah, I actually wrote an article about this yesterday at AZ Sports. So I think is the number one thing that people are going to be looking at after what Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor did against Notre Dame in true passing situations, right? I do think that a lot of people are going to look at Cassius Howell, who had the back-to-back sacks this past week against Utah State. But I mean, people have been buzzing about that kid all off season. Like, I talked to a scout that was through Texas A&M who said that kid, that staff thinks that kid could be the SEC Defensive Player of the Year this year. Like, they think that highly of him, and he's a much different player than what Ruben Bain is. He's not a physical power rusher. He's much more of the finesse.
Yeah, he is a
outside bend.
Louisiana Bayou kind of guy. Like, who is the blur?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's got incredible bend.
He does. And that gives me a little bit of worry because, I mean, again, we're talking about kids that are 20 to 22 years old, right? And we're talking about Anthony Knapp and Emil Wagner at offensive tackle. So the whole week they're thinking, man, we just got bullied, right? Like, we just got speed to powered collapse pocket. So that's in their mind, back of their mind. And I'm hoping that isn't too much in the back of their mind, because if they're expecting Cassius Howell to be that type of player, he's not that type of player. He's trying to hit that outside shoulder. He's trying to rip, and he's trying to turn the corner. He's trying to flatten to the quarterback. Like, there's no doubts about it. So Cassius Howell, slowing him down as much as possible, I think is going to be number one, trying to show that your offensive tackle pass blocking is better this week. And then I think on the offensive side of the ball for Texas A&M, it's about stopping the two transfer wide receivers they have. So they got Kevin Concepcion from NC State, who's made his living in the slot. He's a very good route runner, shifty in space, good after the catch. And then Craver worries the hell out of me, because Craver's more of that's the speed dude, right? Like I watched him against Utah State where they did a corner blitz, and the poor safety for Utah State, they asked him to play man coverage against Craver, and Craver was like, "All right, see you later, bud." Like,
And he's
like
teeny. He looks like a little kid, but he can fly. He can't be but 5'8".
Well, I was going to say the same scout that I was talking about earlier that went to Texas A&M. He was like, "Dude, Craver might be 5'8". He might be 5'8". You know, like he's a small guy, but that speed to burn is a weapon. And Notre Dame had problems with protecting the slot last week against Miami. Obviously, the freshman Malachi Toney had a field day against Notre Dame coming out of the slot. So the nickel against Concepcion worries me. But then Christian Gray is a feast or famine corner to the field for Notre Dame. He has some great moments. He has some moments that make you want to pull your hair out. And the one thing that he doesn't do well, he doesn't always locate the football down the field, and he gets a little bit grabby down the field too. And who's that going to be against? I would think that it would be Craver a lot of the time, of a guy that's trying to work vertically and trying to press the ball. So I think those two transfer wide receivers. And then funny enough, Cassius Howe was also a former transfer from Bowling Green. So the transfer portal has been pretty good to Texas A&M the last couple of years.
A&M doesn't have a 100-yard rusher that's not named Reed. Is that a pro or a con that A&M comes at you with a true dual-threat quarterback?
I mean, I think it's a pro for them potentially. Because the way I look at it as, and I know that this is a pretty good fact, at least in the first game. There's been some load management on Le'Veon Moss, the running back for Texas A&M, who's a really good player. And last year against Notre Dame, he had a nice game in the first game. It was actually kind of leaning on Notre Dame early in the second half to kind of begin things in the third quarter. So I think that there's been kind of an emphasis of like, hey, these first two, we know we're going to be okay. Let's save your legs when we get into the important meat of the schedule, Notre Dame, and then into the SEC schedule, right? So I'm worried about Le'Veon Moss to a degree. I think he's a very strong physical downhill runner with explosiveness. But then the fact that you cannot fully key on him either, because, you know, when you had Connor Wegman last year, like there was only so much extension off of the run game that you could do.
Now
with
Reed can get busy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so you're going to probably see some zone read. You're probably going to see some power read. Like you're going to see different just emphasis and different types of run game scheme in this one, which will be a challenge, obviously, right? So the linebackers from Notre Dame were up and down against Miami. There were some good, some not so great. So you're really going to have to go with your eyes and good with your, you know, just gap integrity and being able to just have that understanding of trusting the guy around you. Like, I think that's going to be very important because I imagine that the Reed game is going to be implemented a ton with Reed, especially since it sounds like he's good to go and there's no, no worries about his health after he kind of left Utah State earlier this past week.
I want to ask you something off the grid, and if you haven't, is it delve, dive? One of those, I don't know, adverbial forms of taking a deep dive. On the national scale for the draft, you all in or all out on Proctor at Bama as an NFL left tackle?
Oh, as a left tackle, I'm all the way out right now. We'll see what it looks like the rest of the year, but he's just.
You didn't even have to think about that. Isn't it amazing how that shifted in a hurry?
He is a player that the best parts of him are also the worst parts of him. And what I mean by that is people are going to marvel over the size, right? Like he's 6'8", he's 375 pounds, probably somewhere in that ballpark. And when he gets his hands on you, it's over. You know, like he's got incredibly strong hands and he's physical as hell. So like when he gets inside of you, it's the rep's done. But the problem is that at left tackle, you are going to be pressed into space so much. And we see every single week the Myles Garretts and the TJ Watts and all these just absolute freak show athletes that can win not only on the outside shoulder, but can also cross space and beat you on the inside as well. And Proctor's size is a limitation in his ability to redirect in space and redirect in one-on-one situations. And I think that is going to be a problem for him. I think it's going to be a problem for him for a guy that can win on both shoulders. If a guy can only win on one, he's good. But right now with guys that have options and have counters, I really think that his lack of ability to redirect is a hindrance to him right now.
Real quick, is the first pick in the draft for you right now an offensive or defensive player?
It's such a fascinating question because obviously your mind always goes to quarterbacks. And and it probably will end up being depending on who picks number one, but it's a better defensive class for sure right this second than offensive. I don't think it's overly close, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you have, obviously it's a great safety class. It's a very good corner class early, it appears, at least at the top. You have a defensive line group led by like Peter Woods and those guys that are very good as well. So it probably should be a defender in the vacuum, but as we know, like the vacuum doesn't always work out. So
and it'll probably be the Saints at this pace, and they need a quarterback. So you're probably right.
Exactly. Yeah. So then the question comes like, what quarterback do you want, right? Like, are you Garrett Nussmeier, not the obvious, relationship there, or do you want a Lenore Sellers out of South Carolina, or where do you want to go? There's going to be some options on the board. So if I pressed, I would probably say it'd be on the offensive side of the football. But I do think if you're asking me what it should be, the defense does seem like the much better class as of today.
That's Ryan Roberts from A to Z Sports. Ryan, great stuff as always. We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate you guys. Have a great day.
Thanks, buddy.
I'd like to see Sellers get going.
Coming up next,
give me some points.
Talk to our guy, Mike Schaefer. He can keep doing whatever he's doing. I'm fine with that. We'll be right back. More Hurrdat Sports Live.
Imagine your first dream home and the feeling of walking inside for the first time. With Centrist Federal Credit Union's first-time home buyers program, you are at the doorstep of bringing your vision to life. Welcome home. From your neighborhood mortgage experts, Centrist Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Just the fact that we're getting the ball to so many different people means as a defense, there's a ton of balance. You're not just saying, you're not coming out on your scouting report saying, hey, we got to take away this guy. You can say right now we got to take away Emmett Johnson, because he's obviously, I think he's top. What is he? They give me this stuff, right? Emmett Johnson is 7th nationally in yards from scrimmage, and he played half the game last week. So you could say take him away, but then you take away Isaiah, Dane, Ja'Cory. Who do you take away? And then we're talking about Ja'Cory as a guy I didn't even think was. When I sat here last week, I was like, I don't even know if he'll play. And, he goes out and does what he does. But I think a lot of that's like that. He's not the first progression on some of those, right? Some of those are, hey, I'm going to throw the ball loose the first progression. They play man, we get backside to Ja'Cory. And so I think those are the things that encourage me, not the score, but just the way that we're executing the things we're supposed to execute.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centrist Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Don't forget, it's Tuesday. That means kids eat free with the purchase of an adult entree. Maybe something someday our friend Mike Schaefer will take advantage of with his little one. Now that he's living in the great city of Omaha. Schaefer, what's going on, bud?
Not a ton, just basking in the afterglow of a Minnesota Vikings. I think you call it victory last night. They were the team that had the most points when the clock ran out.
I mean, this league is so tough, man. Hey, you take what you can get, and your quarterback is trending on the uptick. Full disclosure, I'm going to see what I want to see with McCarthy because I want him to be good because I said he'd be good. But, man, when it was nut-cutting time, he was pretty good, man. If at the end of the half, let me ask you something. At what point were you thinking, shoot, man, KOC, I see what you're saying in McCarthy. 20-some seconds left, one timeout. Go get a field goal. Like, were you like, just get to half, or were you like, okay, go try to get one? I thought that changed the whole trajectory of what the confidence he injected in McCarthy.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be hard for the pick six not to be the inflection point, because at that point, I think his attitude basically went from, well, the worst has already happened, so it's time to just battle back. But the sort of thing that struck me is like how much it seemed they could have probably gotten more than 7 plays out of him in the preseason. He just looked skittish. Like he looked really timid early in the game. And then I do think there is something he threw the pick six, and it's just, it really can't get that much worse at this point. For me, the annoying thing is how the Vikings just seemed like they were self-destructing beyond just JJ McCarthy, but the play calling wasn't particularly helpful for them. Defensively, they were just allowing Caleb Williams to escape everything that they were doing. So they finally settled in, and it took them a long time to do so, and they looked like a much better football team. And we talk about culture on here all the time as it relates to Nebraska football. I think in the NFL, what Kevin O'Connell has done with that locker room and the culture for the Minnesota Vikings is absolutely outstanding. I mean, you look at the way the guys responded to JJ McCarthy, and they want to win too, but you can tell they believed in him before that touchdown run. After that touchdown run, it was like, okay, we like this guy. Now he's our guy. He's one of us. He's going, into battle with us. So they did this with Sam Darnold. He did it with Kirk Cousins. He did it with Josh Dobbs and Nick Mullins. Like Kevin O'Connell's ability to build up those around him and build up that culture and put people in position to be successful. That's the thing that gives me the most hope as a Vikings fan. I mean, it's Kevin O'Connell and what he's doing in that building. There's something special up there. I don't know that it's going to lead to titles, but as a fan, as someone who just appreciates, what they're doing there, it's great. I mean, I would much rather that than the culture that they had with Mike Zimmer at the end there, where everyone hated everyone.
Schaefer, I don't want to extrapolate too much after game one of JJ McCarthy's NFL career, but I am fascinated by a guy where twice, once in college, once in the NFL, his best moments may have come after pick sixes.
Yeah. I give him the credit for being able to flush it and continue forward. And again, I think there's just this element of, hey, like once it goes bad, it really can't get any worse. I think there's a story out there that he basically said, is there anywhere else you'd rather be, to the guys in the huddle when they're talking about trying to come back against the Bears last night late in the third quarter. And so I just think that's kind of his attitude. And that's refreshing. I still don't know if I fully buy in that he's going to be a huge difference-making quarterback, but he's what they got, and they have the roster. I mean, so we'll see how it.
They're not even fully loaded outside the number either.
I mean, that's the thing. Like it in theory should get better the more he plays, and I think defensively they can look a little better against a quarterback that's a little less mobile. But clearly, Brian Flores figured something else out, and coaching does matter. I mean, Kevin O'Connell making sure that Ty Chandler ran that ball out of the end zone to get that thing to the under 2 minutes. It's a small thing, but it's a huge thing all at once. And you'd much rather have the coach who's doing that and feel good about that as a fan than certainly the reverse of it.
I'm the last person that wants Ravi feeling good about anything. But, I mean, this guy stretched out 5 months of year 2 quarterback expectations all offseason, right? The Lagways, the Sellers, the why can't it be Raiola and
Manning.
And maybe we're too close to it here to appreciate Holgorsen and Raiola for what it is. But if there were, and we heard the murmurs, well, they needed to do this against Cincinnati, and Coach Rhule was like, hey, man, 33 completions, 10 different receptions, guys, like, hang in there. Then we saw last week, and then we couched it with the competition. But when you look at how he's playing and manipulating this offense, where are you kind of at with the expectation levels of what he's capable of versus what you've seen so far in his growth?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was a weird offseason in which we downplayed the idea that Dylan Raiola could be a breakout quarterback this year. I mean, like how many times on this show with you guys, we'd be in a discussion about, well, what do you think the strength of Nebraska's offense, or what's their best position group? And, I even answered it at times where it's like, it's quarterback. Like they have a guy that we think can be a stud. He wasn't last year, but he was doing something that nobody else was doing. This is the thing that kind of drove me nuts all offseason in the national quarterback conversation. Like, we want to elevate guys who haven't failed yet because we looked at Dylan Raiola and called last year a failure when he started 13 games, 11 against Power 5 or Power 4 opponents, went through it with an offensive coordinator that they changed out to a different one, with a wide receiver room that maybe wasn't the best. They turned around and added some more talent. They brought back a running back that pairs up well with them. They have an offensive coordinator that might have a better ability to get more out of them. And yet, from the national perspective, and even locally, I felt it too from some of the within the fan base, like there's just this real doubt that he could be a difference maker. And I know a game against Akron shouldn't change that, but it shows you that what's in there. And we've known all along he has special arm talent. So it shouldn't be shocking to us that when the talent gap is what it is, he should absolutely be able to go off. That was a guy who wasn't scared of Akron's coverages or their safeties or whatever they were doing. He was letting it rip in the middle of the field, and it was great to see. I just, have been somewhat dumbfounded by there's so much effort to downplay what Dylan Raiola did last year when no one else did it. No one else started 13 games as a true freshman. And there hasn't been a lot of cases of people doing that. Like, you can point to Trevor Lawrence, and that's like a one-to-one situation. Otherwise, it just doesn't happen.
Over 500 snaps.
Yeah, I mean, he's absolutely going to have learned a lot in that experience. And just like with McCarthy, you get a lot of firsts out of the way. You have that first road game. You have that first, OF environment like Bloomington. You have the being in the horseshoe and your team is down and you've got the ball and the opportunity to go win. Like, getting those out of the way and being able to fail and then pick yourself back up and still have a successful season in terms of overall team success, that was important for Dylan Raiola. And I think we discounted that, and we shouldn't have.
Yeah, I mean, we look right now at Michigan and we see how hard it is, right? It's easier to see when it's happening to somebody else.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We all think Michigan's pretty good.
I still hate how we miscategorize Underwood, so I'm trying not to get into that. If I hear
miscategorize him in what way?
This scrambling, this kind of dual threat thing. He's never been labeled as a dual threat guy. He's clearly uncomfortable running the football.
Yeah.
It's just like he wants to be a passer. Like,
that's not what he does.
It's not what he does.
But we're seeing in real time how hard it is at the power conference level to start as a true freshman right out of the gate. Like, for all the love Lagway got last year, he didn't start till midway through the year when their season was over. They were like 1-5 when he started.
It is hard. It is hard playing with expectations.
And
he and Sellers both have it.
1-5 is just,
Arch has it. They have They have the Raiola shoulders of, be the guy.
You're the guy,
yeah.
And we need you to be the guy. Raiola had that from the jump. Lagway walks into a 1-5 room and is like, well, can't get any worse. Let's see what happens. Sellers,
and a 1-5 room with a defense that absolutely took over games against LSU and Ole Miss and allowed him to just kind of work through it. I mean, like, when we talked about DJ Lagway and there's all this credit given to beating ranked teams, it's like, yeah, I mean, he threw for 202 yards on 13 for 23 with a touchdown in there. Oh, by the way, his defense had 12 tackles for a loss, 8 sacks, forced 3 turnovers, and set him up with field position inside the 50 twice. We'll just ignore that part because we got to talk about quarterback wins like it's a real stat.
And we got to ignore the fact that Arch Manning had only thrown 90 passes in his whole life over the course of 2 years at Texas and couldn't beat out Quinn Ewers, who nobody loves. Nobody loved, right? Do you know a single person who was like, oh, yeah, Quinn Ewers, I'm super excited about that guy? Like, it made sense why Arch couldn't beat that guy.
Not since roughly like 2018, no.
Yeah, not since the first time that he went to Ohio State or whatever, right? Like, you're sitting there and you go, okay, so like maybe there's a reason that he couldn't beat out Quinn Ewers. Maybe there's a reason that it's helpful to have snaps under your belt. Like, I'm not saying these guys aren't eventually going to be good quarterbacks. That's never what I was saying. My point is, it's way harder than we give it credit for. Like, just assuming Lagway and Arch especially. I mean, Sellers at least had a bigger sample size than those guys. But it's just assuming those guys are going to turn into Heisman winners. Like, what are we talking about? And then assuming because Raiola played a whole year and actually went through some things that he's all of a sudden not that guy. He's all of a sudden Nico or DJU or one of these other 5 stars we didn't love. Like, just because he actually went through it. That's what I never understood. I still don't understand it. I think Dylan's better than all of them. So I'm going to say that out loud.
I have nothing that I push back. I wouldn't push back against any of that in the summer. I mean, it's sort of where I've been at, and that's why I really appreciated Saturday. What I appreciated most out of Saturday, beyond just Dylan too, is it felt like a team that, like, it wasn't enough just to do something a couple times. Yep. It felt like they just wanted to leave their mark, and then you get that, leaked in air quotes halftime speech. And it kind of shows you, like, that was the mentality that they had. Like, they wanted to impress upon Akron, like, hey, you came to Lincoln. You're leaving this game, leaving from Nebraska. You played the Nebraska Cornhuskers. You're going to feel it when you're leaving the stadium. And that's the sort of performance they put together. And it was nice to see that in every phase after kind of a bumpy end of the first quarter. I wouldn't say that they played perfect the rest of the way, but they played at a high level that we just don't see a whole lot around here.
Yeah, once upon a time, we would watch games and we would see how good Nebraska was. We didn't really talk about who they played. It was just, they were dominant, or, we saw this guy or these amount of guys, or I can't wait to see this guy get his legs underneath him as a young guy. How soon, and maybe it's only after this week with Michigan coming to town, you think you could get comfortable with that, Schaefer, given the direction of how non-conference scheduling may go, where you start looking at Nebraska as a team based on their own merit and not who they're playing?
I mean, I try to only look at Nebraska as a team based on their own merit, not just who they played, because it's not, the transitive property, despite being debunked every year, we try to do it. Oh, Nebraska did this because this and that, so you're just fall into a fallacy when you start trying to weigh them against everything. And then it also leads to a lot of, goalposts moving, like, oh, I'll believe it when I see this. And then this comes around and it becomes, well, I'll really believe it when they do X. And then they do X. And it's, that's just the disease of more. And the disease of more is how you get better teams too. You don't want guys being satisfied because they beat Akron 66-0. They should be walking out of Saturday's game going, okay, we did that to Akron. Now we got an encore that we got to prove against Houston Christian at 11 a.m. We can't be sleepwalking as we start that game. We got to go prove it against these guys. And then that doesn't even matter. We got to go prove it against. So, you want that attitude within your program. I think Matt Rhule is going to have that in spades. So I don't know that that's a huge concern. For me personally, as someone who covers it and someone who just enjoys watching football, it was nice to see the depth on display. It was nice to see guys have opportunities to prove that Nebraska has a roster that feels deeper than what we're accustomed to, certainly in the lean last 10 years. But just in general, like, I mean, you have Quinn Clark making a catch and run after that was phenomenal in the second quarter. You have TJ Lateef coming in as a true freshman backup quarterback and looking very comfortable. You have Isaiah
look
Mosey.
Like he'd been playing for 4 years, right? It's like
no, and you have Isaiah Mosey, who just doesn't want his feet to ever stop moving. It was awesome seeing some of these young guys. Just the offensive line, it didn't feel like there was much of a drop off when the second and third, and some of that's Akron, right? But they're still going against people. There's still guys on that Akron team who want to knock your head in, who want to win the play too. And so it all matters. And I think it was a very valuable experience that a lot of them got. And like I said, I walk away feeling better about Nebraska's depth in a lot of areas.
So, Schaefer, you walked me right up to it, so I'm going to go there. You brought up Mosey. You brought up depth. I want to go back to the running backs.
Yeah, let's do it.
Did you see enough from the running backs?
I'm not the one bringing it up, so you don't have to jump me.
I feel like last week got misconstrued. I wasn't angry about anything that you guys asked.
Well, you see more. I'm just telling you that the guy's talent are closer. Can I ask?
Go for it.
Do you believe now, Schaefer, that the disparity in talent from 1 to 3 is not that?
No.
Okay. You don't believe that?
And can I explain why, though?
Okay. Yeah. You should have asked.
I was trying.
Go ahead, Mike J.
Well,
I don't even know
we saw what Isaiah Mosey can do in terms of catching the ball out of the backfield. We saw it with Mekhi Nelson. We saw it with Quentin Ives. All three of them made nice catches out of the backfield. I think one of the underrated great things we're seeing from Dylan Raiola, you go back to a couple years ago when Adrian Martinez as a veteran couldn't make this throw. It's those throws in the flats. He's putting the ball in perfect spots for a guy like Mekhi Nelson to just catch it in stride, and that makes him more dangerous. I need to see these guys do more in terms of just running the ball, just straight hands up. Like, I feel like Nebraska has a group of really good pass-catching running backs. And the thing is, I felt that before coming into the year. You can go 5 deep. Kenneth Williams can absolutely catch the ball out of the backfield and be a threat for Nebraska. They don't have to get that far down there because they have Quentin Ives and they have Isaiah Mosey and they have Mekhi Nelson to do all of that. I would like to, hopefully this week, if Houston Christian see a little bit more of just a straight running game. It still feels a little bit clunky. Quentin Ives missing that hole early in the game in the short yardage. That was pretty brutal. I mean, you really can't have that mistake when you're playing a better team, because that could be a huge difference, in winning and losing in an important game. You got your hand up. You want to be called on here?
Yes.
Yes.
So real time, I think I said it out loud and I wanted it back because my job up as an analyst isn't always to harp on what I would have done.
Mm-hmm.
But you could clearly see, right, if he stays just to the right,
Yeah, the block for the tight end block was there.
He walks that in, but we're having this conversation like Nebraska was leaving points out there. I'm like, for me.
He missed. He just missed the
That
hole.
was a prime example of tactical versus technical.
Good call.
The play was fine.
Play worked.
Well, I thought the first 2 plays
was not very good.
Walk through those last 4 plays before they turn the ball over. The throw to Ja'Cory Barney, that play was fine.
He's
the play
got to
call
catch
was
that.
fine.
He's had
It should have been a
backwards
touchdown.
hands.
The catchable ball. Catchable ball. Turn the
Should
shoulder.
have been a touchdown. The second play should have been a touchdown. I didn't love the third or the fourth play calls, but they should have already scored twice.
Yeah, they
before
shouldn't have got
to
to that, right? Because
I agree. 100% agree.
Because as a play caller, you're thinking, I'm
2 for 2 on it working.
Yeah, and I got nothing to show for it.
So you get outside of what he's probably telling himself, and I'm not pretending to be Holgerson. He's probably telling you, guys, this is pretty routine. This is what I drew up for you. So now I've got to, I'm guessing that's how he's thinking.
Now I got to try something
in
else.
his head. So then what do we say? Well, I didn't love those next 2 play calls, but I think he kind of in the moment probably got outside of himself based on the results that the first 2 basic things didn't yield.
Can I ask?
I 100% agree.
I just want one thing, right? Now Dylan's all lean and mean and trim and can roll out and stuff like that. Can I just get one? Can I get one GD goal line bootleg?
Bro, he's ran for 3 first downs. I said he only needed 9 on the year. So he's a third of the way there.
That's my point, though. He can roll out a little bit now. Give me one play action naked boot on the goal line like every other team that I ever watched play football does, because that play seems to work 110% of the time.
He said lean, mean, fight.
Lean, mean, fight machine, rock. Can I just get one of them? Can I just get one ever?
Look, I'm not opposed to that play call at all. The one thing I want here is for the dive over the pile to be put away for a while.
It's just too hard.
Let's put that one away. We don't need that one back for a while.
Agreed.
It's just too, especially for a guy that's kind of explosive like that. Let him get a running start.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't need to see the up and over.
Unless I'm this far from the goal line, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Unless it's literally I can just reach over. We're done here. I don't want to jump. Let's push a pile.
And I don't know if you guys would agree with this or not, but if you're going to run the tush push, I think I'd almost rather just a quarterback blast for Heinrich Harburg where he gets a little momentum catching the snap and then going forward, rather than being under center, having to get that, corral it, and then just getting shoved right into inertia. I'd rather have him being able to move forward with space, but that's just me personally. If we were nitpicking from Saturday.
Schaefer, I was having this conversation with Stephen Mercutio Sipple, where we're talking about how to watch special teams basically, and kind of what goes on with it. And I'm one of these guys, only because I coach it, it's really, really important to me. I almost never look at the actual returner. I look at kind of are they coming after it? How are they working the gunners? Things like that. Have you allowed yourself, when you're watching special teams from your vantage point in the box, where you can actually see and appreciate the designs and how they're actually Eckler just doesn't luck in the long returns because of the opponent. you can see schematically how he's coaching guys and what they're doing, where you think it's portable week in, week out, where it could actually be a weapon. Are you seeing that from up where you are? Or do you watch it?
I can't tell you that I know exactly what I'm looking for in terms of how you're springing and setting up returns. I do think it's interesting that they're able to at times show or come after punts, and then they'll get a team thinking in one sort of way and then have it set up for something else entirely.
They rushed him into that low liner. I thought they were coming.
Yeah, kind of what I was sort of getting at. Like, I don't know. I can't sit here and draw you up how they're doing it exactly or what every piece is doing, but it feels like they're sort of rope-a-doping teams into doing something that they want to benefit from by showing them their hand one way, knowing that it's not going to go exactly how they want, but they're setting something up for a future punt down the line.
It kind of feels like that's, I don't know who this question is for, or if there's even a question in here. So I don't know. You guys do with this what you will. But yeah, we're just having a conversation here, Schaefer. It kind of feels like they're mimicking what Nebraska's trying to do on defense, where they're showing a lot at the line of scrimmage and then backing out of it. And I wonder how much Eckler's background as a defensive coach kind of has to do with that, where he's almost, like you said, he's sort of bluffing you into things and setting up looks for later. Again, I don't know if that's a question. That's just something that I thought of while you were talking.
Yeah, well, I think that's, the first thing you think of is how a team would show that they're going to be in man-to-man and that they're going to blitz, and then they're back off into a zone and hang in the areas where the quarterback's hot route might be. I mean, that's you're trying to bait that sort of action. You're doing the same thing when you're showing on punt return. You're showing a team punting the ball that you're lined in a certain way that it seems like the pressure should come from here, or that you shouldn't have X amount of people back there to be set up to block, but then you do. And you also are able to bring pressure from other areas because they're going to overload or think that you're going to come from somewhere else. So I just think it's a little cat and mouse game that Mike Eckler can sort of play within that. And you're right. I mean, his experience as a linebackers coach, knowing sort of what that's like when you can bluff somebody into doing something, you have to stay at it, and you have to have trust. And this is a big thing that seems with Eckler. If he's putting someone out there to play for him, it means that he explicitly trusts that you're going to do your job. And if you do your job, everybody else does their job, someone makes a play, boom, you're off to the races. But it just really comes down to trust that he can move these guys and know that they're going to do what they're supposed to do so that you can set something up for later.
And there's a handful of guys, I can think of 3 in particular, that won jobs on the roster that continually move up the depth chart on defense from the work that they do on special teams. So
isn't that the way that it should go, though? I mean, that's the idea. Like, Matt Rhule had that quote, I don't know if it was a spring, I don't know if it was a fall, about like what a winning football program looks like. And it's when you have guys that are in there for multiple years that kind of incrementally build their way through things, that when it's their opportunity, they've been game tested and tested in different ways. He was talking specifically about the offensive line. Like, ideally, you get a freshman in that redshirts as a redshirt freshman. Ideally, he's competing and getting in Akron and Houston Christian level games. And then his second or third year, he's ready to absolutely fire his gun for you. I mean, that's the same concept spoken a little bit different way of what we're talking about. Like, to get on the field for Nebraska's defense right now, they should have enough depth where you're going through special teams. Like, that's your avenue to prove, hey, I can be coached. Hey, I can do what's asked of me. Hey, I can make a play. Hey, I can do this. And then you're going to get more opportunities because of what you're doing in the coverage units to be able to go play on the field on, Saturday as second team defense, or stepping in to give a guy a breather or what have you. I mean, that is absolutely what Matt Rhule wants to do. And so if that's the route it's going, it again should make people feel better about the depth of this team. I think that's got to be the big takeaway from Saturday. Nebraska feels deeper than they have. That doesn't necessarily have to mean everything, but it certainly, when you run into injuries or personnel changes or whatever else, there's confidence about how deep you can go down the roster before you feel like the cliff is coming.
How many eyes will you have on Central Michigan playing at the same time?
At 11 a.m. on Saturday?
Yeah.
I'll have 0 eyes on it. I will not have any understanding of what has happened in the Central Michigan game until well after, probably when I'm home preparing myself Canelo versus Crawford later in the evening. So
what's on the menu for Hudson? He seems to eat like the same 3 things.
Well, he is 18 months old. He did have what did we have yesterday? We did like a crock pot pasta that he had a Parmesan garlic chicken pasta.
Is that the one you had on IG?
I've had that on there before. Yeah, it's very good. It's a it's good. The
he's
crock
like
pot,
he's like eating in the I can see like he's in like the living room and he's just like
oh no, that was a couple weeks ago. I think he's just eating a snack there, but
he's living his best life. Dude is just laughing.
Dude loves to eat.
Yeah, so you can tell
eater.
he enjoys it.
Yeah, big time eater. But his favorite thing in the world are meatballs. Nothing has topped meatballs. He's good with chicken nuggets, but there are no meatballs. You could feed him that every day. He'd be fine.
Shay, forgive me here for not knowing anything about children. At 18 months, can they just eat whatever?
I mean,
his mouth is developed enough that he can sort of have. You're still
like they can chew and whatever.
Yeah, you're still trying to make sure that certain items are cut certain ways. Like
Sure.
grapes still have to be sliced in a way that
Cut
it's
up the
not
hot dogs
choking.
really small and stuff.
Yep.
Okay.
Not a choking hazard, that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, he can pretty much have sort of what he wants within reason, I suppose.
And you haven't found food allergies either, right?
Nothing. We haven't found anything yet.
That's like
we found he doesn't like cheese much, which is concerning.
Oh
to me.
wow.
Oh wow.
I don't like where that's going, but hopefully we can
He'll
get
grow
that
out of
around.
that. Don't worry. He'll grow out.
He discovered breakfast pizza over the weekend. He loved
let's
that.
go.
So,
Let's go.
You know,
big breakfast pizza guy.
Good things happening in his life.
Are you doing that homemade?
The breakfast pizza? No, we just grabbed it for this weekend. We've done it before. It's a little extra work, but it's really good. I think, going the homemade pizza route, which is going to be the next kitchen appliance I buy that I don't need to buy, is a pizza oven thing for.
I'm telling you, Rotella's has ready-made dough too. It's almost like you made your own. It's a game changer.
It's good when you can control your own pizza. It makes a pizza better. I think. I want to get good at the Detroit style pizza. I like the really thick crust of that. So
if I had some discretionary income, you know what I'd get? It's similar to the pizza oven thing. I'd get the Bighorn that gets your steaks to like 1,500 degrees, and you can because
it's a super hot, like the. Yeah. You could just like build one of those in the corner of your backdoor kitchen setup or outdoor kitchen setup. Yeah, I mean that's what we need to
build anything. I struggle with Legos.
Well, not you personally, but you'd have a guy that would do it.
He probably does have a guy.
I got a guy.
He's got a guy for everything, Schaefer.
Well,
I'm aware.
Need a lot of guys. Okay, inept.
And I go, hey DB, I need a guy for this.
He's got a Rolodex. It's impressive.
Listen, do you know what you're working with? I can't do anything on my own. I need a guy.
I find it admirable because it lets me know that I can live my life in similar fashion and still hold my head high. Did I build any of the furniture in my house? No. Does it bother me at all when I'm sitting on it? Absolutely not.
Yeah. I knew it wasn't meant for me when they were still using Allen wrenches with things that they send home. And I'm like, who still uses one of these? Like, why do they put these in the packages? They're worthless.
Well, they have value. I mean, it allows you to tighten and fasten.
Yeah, for like an hour until it loosens again, because you can't get it tight enough without breaking your fingers and index finger. It's like
they want you to put your hand in harm's way for the sake of the tightness of the furniture.
No, man. You need calluses? I'm like, oh boy, on Trading Places. Never done a hard day's worth of work in my life.
See, this is the life I want to model.
Well, hey. All right, Mike J.
Schaefer, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you later.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Thanks for having me on.
Have a good week. That's Mike Schaefer, Husker 24/7. Let's take a quick break here and come back. We're going to talk to Dan Rafael here at 9:45, get into the Canelo Crawford fight. But I wanted to hit back on Arch a little bit before because.
Of course you did. He threw 4 touchdowns in 5 minutes.
No, because there was a weird interaction with the media and Sarkisian yesterday that I kind of want to get to. And I think it has a lot to do with your narrative you choose represents your dysfunction.
Yeah.
As a Texas fan
you got to be careful when people choose the narrative that suits their dysfunction.
If you're feeling a little dysfunctional in any way, though, call my guys over at Next Gen Male Medical. Regardless of how you're feeling, if you're not quite up to snuff, they can help you out. Whether it's testosterone, weight loss, peptides, anything else, they've got you covered. Call 402-614-9700 to get an appointment, and they can help you feel your best self again. It's Next Gen Male Medical. We'll be back. More Hurrdat Sports Live.
Imagine your first dream home and the feeling of walking inside for the first time. With Centrist Federal Credit Union's First Time Home Buyers Program, you are at the doorstep of bringing your vision to life. Welcome home. From your neighborhood mortgage experts, Centrist Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Whether you're saving for a necessity like an emergency fund or something special like a vacation, Centrist Federal Credit Union is here to help. They've got lots of different options from savings account, money market certificates, and their Centrist Roundup program to help you save the money you're looking for. Terms and conditions apply. Federally insured by NCUA. Get all the details at centristfcu.org. So, DB, we were talking about sophomore quarterbacks and how I'm right about everything. And
it's interesting.
Oh, is that not what you said? That's not a direct.
Is this current?
I have no idea. Looks like no.
Shane, can you resend the code, babe?
So I fully understand that
I'm 99% sure I did not intimate that you were right about everything.
I maybe read into it.
I said you've been harping on it for 5 months, and right now you look like you might be all right.
Yeah, things could change. You never know. It's a week-to-week sport here. But one of the things that's very strange to me, and it reminded me of something we talked about Monday morning, I think, or maybe last week, I don't know, whenever it was, when we were talking about how be careful of people that choose the narrative that suits their dysfunction. And as I'm listening, this thing just popped up out of nowhere on my timeline.
I told you, you're going to be able to use that the rest of your life.
All the time. I think about it all the time.
Now you do have to be careful of sometimes their version of the truth is applicable.
Yeah.
You just can't promote it to justify acting in a dysfunctional
Correct.
manner.
Yes. Just their story may not be false, but it might be justification.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm looking at this thing popped up on my timeline yesterday because I had no idea. I didn't know this was a thing that was going around.
Yeah.
But apparently people are doing, I mentioned it with Brett Ciancia. People are doing these deep dives on Arch Manning, saying that he's wincing after he throws.
Did you not? They're putting it in slow-mo on the television right now.
And that this must be evidence of some secret shoulder injury, and that's why he hasn't been good. And so Sark got asked about this. Rico, can you pull up the Sark clip that we have on the stream here?
Arch Manning seemed to be having some throwing pains by the
According to
fourth quarter.
who? Arch said that to you?
No.
Oh, according to who?
It just looked like he was.
He doesn't have any.
Is there an explanation to why it looked like that?
I don't know. I've never filmed any of you guys when you're using the bathroom, so I don't know what faces you make when you're doing that.
So that seems to intimate that he thought that Arch was pooping the bed.
No.
Is that not what he meant?
That's
the direct correlation I made.
Sark is interesting.
Here's the funny thing about it, though, is so if you go back to last year in the only 90,
they're all like And I listen.
Yeah.
Sark may not watch television.
He may not.
He might not.
Yeah.
But
it's all
in
over.
the first hour of the show that we were watching this morning.
Yeah, on the 4-letter
they
network.
Put the slow-mo on Arch's face twice.
Yeah.
So that's clearly what people are seeing.
It is. Yeah. So he's making these weird faces. You know, it's funny though. So I went on this deep dive yesterday because I was like, this is wild, right? And so
amazing. Daniel is a dummy. And why'd you pick that one?
I went back and I'm deep diving on this Arch Manning thing on Twitter, right? And somebody went back to one of the 90 passes he threw last year and zoomed in on his face, and it was after a completion in 2024. He makes the same face. Like, he just makes a weird face, and people are like, yeah, have you met any of the Mannings? They all make weird faces.
Yeah.
That's a family trait. Like, the Manning face is a thing. Do we not know that?
Were you a little taken aback by the restroom reference?
Yeah, I was. I thought it was really funny because I was like, you make it sound like your quarterback's a bedwetter.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
I'm sure that's not what he meant.
You're having those grimace I don't know.
That's not what he meant.
Maybe he waited too long.
But or maybe he has a condition, you know?
Might need more fiber.
You gotta be careful there. Maybe he needs to eat some, day-old shrimp and just clear himself right out.
That's not what happened. I see what you did there. The pizza was delicious.
I'm sure it tasted fine.
Absolutely, it was delicious.
I'm just you got killed a little bit on the food stuff the last couple days.
Just getting ruined. I don't even know why I thought it was. So I laughed, even real time hearing the clip that Balk Dog sent me. And for whatever the reason, I thought him describing me as insane was funny.
Mm-hmm.
And then last night when it kept growing legs, and I'm like, why did I think that was funny? And I was like, you know what? Maybe it's the stinky piece of cheese that, because I typically don't get mad at guys for when there's a hint of, like, sometimes I have to take a look at myself.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, there's a little truth there.
But I'm not insane. It's just funny how he said it.
I wouldn't use the term insane. I think you are incredibly stubborn about this particular issue.
I'm not going out of my way to do it. I think it's pretty simple, and I'm gonna go with the philosophy of my O-line coach.
Okay.
It's a lot easier to reheat the less cold that it is if I want to recreate its original taste. That's all.
I would like to recreate its original ability not to give me diarrhea. That's what I want to recreate.
You don't know whether that's what it is.
I'm pretty sure. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say when you're having issues digestionally, might have something to do with the...
Well, guess what? The people that have loose stool don't have to do. Worry about making that face that Coach Sarkisian was talking about. I don't have that problem.
I've never filmed any of you guys when you're using the bathroom, so I don't know what faces you
That
make.
was just weird.
Hey, it all comes back to Arch throwing him in the dirt to Ryan Wingo. Coming up next, we got Dan Rafael to talk a little Canelo Crawford here on Hurrdat Sports Live.
Imagine your first dream home and the feeling of walking inside for the first time. With Centris Federal Credit Union's First Time Home Buyers Program, you are at the doorstep of bringing your vision to life. Welcome home. From your neighborhood mortgage experts, Centris Federal Credit Union. We are
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Oh! Crawford gets up! One of the best finishers in boxing. And Crawford just nails him. That man is the best in the world. And now, as a righty, Crawford comes in. There's a three-punch combination from the chip. Oh, and Kamayaskis comes back and lands a combination. So, and Crawford just nails him. Let's see what Crawford does with it. Here he comes. Backs him up with a left hand again. Horns in the corner. Uppercut lands. Crawford on the attack. That's it. It's over. It's over.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by Dan Rafael. You can find him on Fight Freaks Unite on Substack. Dan, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing great.
One of the original GOATs, Dan. It is good to talk to you. I feel like we took a couple of years off, man, but I have never stopped following you. I'm going to start with this. Your ability to keep your mementos over the duration of you covering boxing is fantastic. My favorite part of what you do on Twitter or X or whatever we call it is the flashbacks, man. A couple of weeks ago, now this is a while ago, you forced me to go down the whole Diego Corrales Floyd Mayweather trail at 1:30, and I'm like, you know what? Only Dan could get me.
I'm not even going to apologize,
dude. It's the best, man. Are you ready for this one? You ready for Netflix and Crawford and Saul?
I'm ready to go, man. I got my suitcase up in the bedroom, ready to pack it up tomorrow morning.
So this is interesting. I mean, Bud, obviously here, we know him really, really well. And he walks around at a fairly good size. He's in the high 170s. Is this a case where you could see a good big guy losing to a good small guy? Or do you always err with the good big guy in fights like these?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's when it's a mismatch kind of fight, when you've got a small guy that's just a regular guy, and he moves up significantly, top elite in the heavier weight, it usually doesn't go well. Same level, or if the small guy maybe is even better, I'll use the example going back many years, like Roy Jones when he was light heavyweight champion, and he jumped up 2 weight classes, or skipped over the cruiserweight division and went to John Ruiz. That was a great smaller guy, just a regular sort of maybe slightly better than average big guy. And the proof was in the outcome where Jones dominated and won basically every round. Now, Canelo is obviously a lot better, the bigger guy than John Ruiz. But Crawford is a spectacular fighter and a skillful fighter and fresher than Canelo. And having seen the way Terrence Crawford looks in terms of the way he's rebuilt his body from being a welterweight, and then for one junior middleweight, he looks tremendous. And I think he does have the skills to potentially defeat Canelo Alvarez, who hasn't looked really that great for the last few fights.
So, Dan, I'm glad you brought up the way Terrence looks, because I was a little stunned. I know you tweeted out the picture of Crawford as well. Were you kind of taken aback by how good he looks at that size? Because I was not expecting that.
When he's here, I see him every couple of weeks, and I'm still shocked.
Yeah, I was a little shook by it. I was like, that's not what I expected it to look like.
I don't know if I'd say I'm shocked, because I know how much of a sort of a gym rat Crawford is, and that he does put the work in. And I was very interested in that, because if you go back to like the late, I think it was in near the end of July, I was in Las Vegas covering the Manny Pacquiao Mario Barrios fight, and I had the chance to have a Zoom with I've been trying to line Crawford up for a pre-fight interview. I got him on a Zoom, which we played on our podcast and put up on our Big Fight Weekend YouTube channel, so folks can go check that out. And so I'm talking to Crawford, and one of the things I asked him about, because I always had kind of found this interesting, is when you take that kind of big jump up in weight, what's the philosophy in terms of reshaping your physique of your body? Some guys they just eat the way they might between fights and don't worry about what the weight is. Some guys have a specific program. I remember years ago when Bernard Hopkins went from being a middleweight to a light heavyweight, and he employed the fitness guru Mackie Showstone, and they dealt it the way that Mackie did it, where he would take the guy, doing it the right way, not just eating pizza and ice cream, but the right foods, but bringing them up in weight, over the weight, and then doing a weight cut the way they would do if they were fighting at their weight they had previously been at. And I was curious what Crawford's approach was to that. And he was like, now remember, this is in like the latter part of July. He was like, we're not sure yet. We're definitely obviously going to eat more, but he doesn't have to cut. But he said, I don't have to muscle when I drop down. But clearly, he's put on the weight the right way. He looks very strong. And the reality is this: when you put Terrence Crawford, you didn't know Crawford was coming up from junior middleweight, but essentially welterweight, and you just plop them down next to Canelo Alvarez, at a table or on a stage, and you looked at them and you didn't know who they were, you wouldn't notice any kind of distinct difference in terms of their physical size.
No,
they're about the same size. Crawford has been, making weight for a long time, so you're not used to seeing him look like that. And Canelo, although he's been a tremendous fighter, great fighter, is the undisputed champion, not like a big super middleweight by any stretch of the imagination. So physically speaking, I feel like they're on a similar playing field.
How about if we're going to level the playing field with the tactical side? Obviously, Diaz is, he's trained Bivol. He trained Madrimov, who had seen Crawford, trying to provide insight in terms of how he thinks this will go. When you talk about a guy like Diaz, and he's adamant that Crawford doesn't stand much of a chance against Alvarez because of his familiarity with Bivol and Madrimov, are you buying kind of what they're selling from a tactical side when you try to break this fight?
Which Diaz are you talking about?
Joel Diaz, where he told Ring Magazine that Crawford can't beat Alvarez just because of his experience with Bivol and when he coached Bivol and he coached Madrimov too. So I think he maybe feels like he has some insight. Are you buying the technical matchup between the two?
Well, I mean, listen, I certainly respect the opinion of Joel Diaz. He's been a top trainer for a long time, and he knows more of the X's and O's and that type of thing than I do. But I've covered Terrence Crawford's entire career, and I've covered Canelo Alvarez's entire career since he's been, even remotely a name. And to me, the reason why you absolutely have to give Terrence Crawford a good chance to win the fight is because of the fact that he has that intelligence. He has all the experience you need. He's been in significant fights. But more significantly, he's just simply got less wear and tear on his body. And Canelo is maybe younger chronologically. Canelo is 35, Terrence Crawford is 37. But that doesn't tell the story. What tells the story is that Terrence Crawford has less than half the number of rounds as a professional that Canelo Alvarez has. Yeah. You think about the wear and tear it takes to prepare for all those rounds. He's a much fresher fighter. Canelo, again, he may be younger, but Canelo is pushing 70 professional fights. Canelo Alvarez has been fighting as a professional since he was a teenager. He has 520 rounds. Terrence Crawford, like I said, older, many fewer professional fights, and has 245 professional rounds. Think about how much wear and tear Canelo has taken in those rounds. He's had way more physically grueling difficult fights through his career than Crawford has. Crawford hasn't had like all easy fights or anything like that, but certainly a lot fewer in terms of like the hellacious nature of those battles that Canelo has, and it does catch up to you. And I know maybe it's an unfair thing to talk about in terms of the last fight because of the circumstances, but I just felt like Canelo looked so bad in the last fight, which was in May in Saudi Arabia against William Skull, where he was fighting an opponent, didn't really come to fight and run, and just didn't want to engage whatsoever. But he's been in those types of fights occasionally in the past, and he's always found a way to at least land some good shots. He didn't do anything in that fight, so I'm stuck with that memory and just my knowledge of their career. So tactically speaking, Crawford, if they employ a good game plan and they stay away from if they can stay away from Canelo's firepower, which he hasn't shown much of, frankly, in recent fights, then I think he has a really good chance to win.
And I get it. I lack objectivity considering we're pretty close. But with Crawford, he's an elite level fitness guy, and we know that. We know about his boxing IQ. Are you relatively surprised that the power has come with him as he's moved up in weight?
Not totally, but I'm not sure it's going to come to 68 with him. I mean, obviously, before he fought Majimov at 154, which was the heaviest he'd ever weighed, he had scored 11 consecutive knockouts. He had knocked out plenty of his opponents at lightweight. He had done the same at junior welterweight. Obviously, he had a long streak of knockouts at welterweight. That streak ended against Majimov, who was, the biggest fighter he'd ever faced. And, as much as I can say how poorly Canelo looked when he had his previous fight, and Bud won the fight against Majimov, but it was very close. I don't think anybody would look at that fight and say, "Wow, that was Crawford at his best." He was coming off a long layoff and didn't look particularly sharp. I have a feeling, though, that both of those fighters that they faced were not the kind of opponents that really got their, they weren't fearful of them. They didn't really think they had much to worry about. I'm not saying they didn't take them seriously, but there's a lot difference, I think, mentally, and that's a very important aspect of preparing for a big fight. Preparing for a Majimov or a William Skull than preparing for a Canelo Alvarez or a Terence Crawford. I mean, they understand the caliber of opponent that they are facing. So I do feel like from that perspective, they'll be more up for the fight, and we'll see hopefully better performances from them. And in turn, that turns out to be a good fight for everybody that's going to be watching.
The great Dan, hearing from the great Dan.
Hearing
from the great Dan Rafael right now as we kind of preview Crawford Alvarez. Dan, how much attention are you paying? The not little things, but like sparring partners, right? Obviously, Canelo's brought in a ton of guys, Boots Ennis and trying to adjust, and Crawford actually getting rounds in with guys like Ward, bigger, crafty. Ward has taken a lot more time off than obviously Boots is fresh. But what do you make about what they're trying to see from a sparring standpoint as they approach this one?
Well, when you bring in guys like that, it just tells me you're taking it seriously, as you should, because you want to have somebody that can test you to some degree in sparring, that can give you the right look. And, with Ennis, in terms of going to spar with Canelo, that's a tremendous young fighter, a fresh guy, a change of pace maybe for Canelo, a guy that, some people have compared him to Crawford. I don't see them as being the same kind of fighter, but
I don't either.
They have similar dimensions. Maybe he can simulate the speed. And Ward is the master. So if he brought him in, he's looking just to be in there with a guy that's bulkier.
Dan, I'm curious, as you look at this fight, you look at the matchup, is there a thing that sticks out to you that you just can't get over as a potential advantage for one guy or the other?
I always think about the freshness factor. I cannot shake the fact that Canelo's looked so average in his recent fights.
I agree.
Yeah, he's won them, but it hasn't been impressive. And Crawford, I know Majimov wasn't impressive, but he looks so unbelievable against Errol Spence.
Mm-hmm.
Can he carry it over? That's what I think about.
All right, let me get you out on this, Dan. The 10.5 rounds seems to be the number that Vegas is picking, heavily juiced to the over. Is there an advantage either way the longer this fight goes?
That's a good question. To me, the 10.5 doesn't surprise me when you see fights like this. Often, and I hosted a handicapping show for 3 years, and we saw on these types of fights almost week in and week out, we had 10.5 on the over and under. But I think that Canelo hasn't had a knockout for a very long time. Crawford, these guys have over 100 professional fights. Neither one of them has ever been down officially in a fight. So clearly they take punches well. Obviously, the caveat is that Terrence Crawford is moving up to weight divisions, but his defense is always pretty darn good. So, I think the longer the fight, the 10.5 seems appropriate to me. Like, I kind of think whoever wins, there's a good chance this fight goes the distance.
All fight freaks need to unite with this one.
That's our guy, Dan Rafael, Fight Freaks Unite on Substack. Dan, we appreciate the time so much. Hope you enjoy the fight this weekend, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Safe travels, D.
All right, my pleasure, guys.
Thanks.
That's Dan Rafael, Fight Freaks Unite on Substack. Make sure you go check him out. Great stuff there, as always. As Conor McGregor put it, the boxing guy, Dan Rafael.
Man, my man is. I see McGregor's running for office.
Wouldn't surprise. Wouldn't surprise me. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't knock the hustle.
Here or Ireland? Where's he running?
There. You can't win anything here. It's not a.
I don't know.
Well, there's these things called Never mind.
Arnold was a governor. I don't know.
There. Over there.
Didn't know if he got dual citizenship.
You're not
or
about
something.
to get me. No. Over there.
Would you like to have a conversation about immigration, DB?
No, I would not.
All right. We'll be back tomorrow. More Hurrdat Sports Live.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.